isolation, I guess, under the state, and that's going a little far there now. And
yeah, that I have not heard that.
Well, there's
seems like that's violating a couple of constitutional rights, but I'll leave that to the scholars.
You can read the bill, and you can get on the web and punch in petitions to sign.
Yeah.
Crash California, and it's there. And that's, if it were to pass in California, it could very well pass. Yeah.
Well, I would never sell the California state legislature short. They have they have amazed a lot of people over the years. Mary is in Baton Rouge. Hello, Mary. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I have a question, I guess you would say. Okay, I am a season ticket holder for LSU football since as far back as when I was 5 years old in '62. Okay, we have already paid in full for our season tickets and the tradition fund that they add on and everything. If there is not going to be a season, I would assume that the universities are going to have to refund the money that the season ticket holders have paid. And, I don't know what they would do in regards to the tradition fund because that's like a separate area. So I guess my question is, should we get repaid, the money that we've already given them for a season that may not happen?
Yeah, it's a good question, Mary. Thank you for asking. I don't think there's an answer yet. I feel comfortable and confident that the athletic departments would reimburse you or extend it to the next season. Knowing the people down in Baton Rouge, they will do it the right way. But I don't know. I don't think they're anywhere close to that kind of determination yet. Hey, thank you very much for the call. Ricky is in Texas. Hey, Ricky, nice of you to join us.
Hey, Paul, how you doing? I appreciate you taking my call. I'm a retired high school coach, high school principal, and my only thing that I'm concerned about in all of this is the health of the student athlete. I have to go with what Dr. Burke says and what Dr. Fauci says about testing. And to me, the only way we can start football or even have a season is to test, and test. And that means before practice, before games, test coaches, test trainers, test everyone to make sure they're not COVID-19 positive so they can play. What do you think?
I have to agree with you, and right now I don't think there's an easy answer on testing. But you can't. I don't know how you can possibly allow it without consistent testing. And again, I don't know how whether that testing's expensive, by the way, but so is college football. Makes a lot of money.
I'm glad you said that because that was one of my first things I wanted to bring up. Who's going to pay for it? And not only that. Yesterday, I'm sure you watched part of the hearing with Fauci and the Senate and the other doctors. They said they wouldn't have but 50 million tests available until late August. Well, there's 300 million people in our country.
No.
They're not going to take all 50 million and give it to the colleges to test student athletes. That's not going to happen. So
no, you're right.
It's not going to be as safe as it can be. I know money's important, Paul. I know the athletic departments depend on the money, but I just don't think it's morally right either.
Well, let me ask you this quick question, Ricky.
Sacrifice a guy's health for money either.
What about high schools? You're plugged into
the same thing. The same thing. I mean, you got to test these high school kids. You've got to. I mean, and not only that, if you do allow the parents to come watch the game, you've got to test them. You've got to test their family. You've got to test the journalists. You've got to test the referees. You've got to test everybody.
Yeah. I mean, I'm all for getting back to normal. The only problem is it's not normal right now.
Well, there's no doubt about it. It's not going to be normal. And I know we talk about numbers, but now, okay, the governor of Georgia, they opened up May the 1st, In 2 weeks, they've had a 20% increase in numbers. Now, March the 12th, we had 38 deaths in this country. Yesterday, we had 81,000. Now, I know that 21,000 were in New York City, okay?
Sure.
But that's a third of them, Paul. That's not all of them.
No, it's also interesting. You mentioned Fauci. I just saw something pop up on television where the president said today he wants to open schools, and he said that he was concerned by what Fauci said. He said, and I'm just quoting, to me, it's not an acceptable answer to say we can't open the school. So this is you understand, being in this part of the school system, that nothing is ever exactly out as it appears. Let's keep this dialogue going, Ricky. Thank you very much. I wish I had a better answer. I don't. Dr. Sag will join us next. Maybe he knows. I guarantee he knows a lot more than I do.
I'm just not smart enough. I'm just not smart enough, as smart as Fauci and Brooks and those guys. I'm not that smart, so I have to go along with them. Okay.
I'm with you. Hey, thank you. I'm with you in the sense that they know, but this is here. Therein lies part of the problem. Let's get to the science part of it in a minute with Dr. Sag, and we will get back to your phone calls in a few minutes.
Call Feinbaum now, 855-242-7285. That's 855-242-PAUL. This is the Paul Feinbaum Show.
The Last Dance, a 10-part documentary series on the Chicago Bulls dynasty of the 90s. Tune in Sunday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. Immediately following the broadcast, check out Jalen and Jacoby, The After Show, presented by AT&T for episode reaction. Available wherever you enjoy your podcasts. Now, when you buy a new device, AT&T is offering fast, free, no-contact delivery and curbside pickup, along with a flexible return policy so that online shopping is as simple and safe as possible. Visit att.com to learn more. Subject to change, restrictions apply.
An auto policy from State Farm gets you collision coverage. And this radio ad from State Farm gets you coverage of this beloved 90s hit.
I hit a car. I hit a car. I hit a car. Ooh, baby. Ooh, baby. It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. My agent's gonna help me.
For more coverage, visit statefarm.com.
Gathering at Pensacola Beach is a wonderful family experience. If you thought of having a family celebration or an amazing beach wedding, there's a very special home now available, Casa de Luna. Casa de Luna is spacious with room for large families. It has 9 bedrooms and 8 bathrooms. Casa de Luna is a large private home with a refreshing pool and water views. The pool can be heated for swimming in colder months. Casa de Luna is unique in that the main living area is directly on sand level. It's very convenient. Bedrooms are both on the sand level and upstairs. One bathroom is handicap friendly and another has a new jacuzzi. And there's a large gaming porch with pool table, foosball, hockey, ping pong, and Xbox One. Bicycles are provided. Bring your family to Casa de Luna on Pensacola Beach.
For information, call Casa de Luna owner Tim at 791-6400. That's 791-6400. 791-6400.
Pensacola's own NFL Hall of Famer Emmitt Smith has some tips for us during this time.
This fight is up to all of us to try to help bend that curve. It's going to take teamwork. It's going to take us to stay committed, stay focused, and stay dedicated to the mission at hand, and that is to keep everyone safe. So be encouraging. Find some support. Find someone to talk to every day to encourage them to keep on continuing in this fight. And we will beat this pandemic.
Hear ye, hear ye. I bringeth thee a message from... a message from the king and his new trumpeter, Stephen. The king wishes me to convey his favor to thine team and thine tailgate. Not yet. He invites thee to let the Bud Light flow forth. And he also wishes me to tell thee that he toasts thee. Waiteth until the end, Stephen! With game day's favorite light lager and the slogan of his kingdom. Oh, dilly dilly. Enjoy responsibly. Bud Light Beer, AB, St. Louis, Missouri.
We are strong, we are resilient, and we will get through this together. But these are stressful times, and it's important to also practice good self-care. It's normal to feel overwhelmed, anxious, or afraid, but there is hope. Reach out to someone, connect with your friends, stay in touch with your community, and know that you are not alone. Learn more at wearebroadcasters.com/hope. Furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
There's only one name in town when it comes to afternoon local sports talk. The Sports Drive with Chad Brilliante.
Some athletes don't want to be given... nobody does. No, look, when you play with your pops as it gets older, one of the most embarrassing things, my daughter's 3, I just slam it right in her face right at the play school hoop. Like right there, like I'm Zion Williamson.
The games, the players, the fans. ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. We do sports, and that's all we do. We're your hometown sports station. ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
I can do nothing. I can't think without the man, so he's here to keep me company and maybe chop it up, talk some stories. Look, you know what podcasts are. It's the same deal. Rate, review, subscribe. One big thing, dive a little deeper, maybe some bad beats, whatever's interesting to you. Sounds good. There you go. We'll see you on the other side. Wait a minute. What time do we start? See?
You're good. Oh, you're good.
That was it?
Yeah.
First Take, your take.
I'm rolling with Mike Tomlin and the Pittsburgh Steelers, week 1 of the NFL season against Big Blue, who have not been very big in recent years. I'm sorry, matter of fact, you could call them Small Blue. That would be more applicable, more appropriate. Mike Tomlin and the crew, they're going to handle their business week 1.
First Take, your take, from 1 to 3 Eastern on ESPN Radio and ESPN News.
Welcome back. It was about a month ago when we had an extraordinary conversation on a Friday afternoon with Dr. Michael Sag, who is one of the leading epidemiologists and infectious disease specialists, not only in this country but in the world. On top of all that, he and his son both contracted COVID-19 very early in this process, and we spent a lot of time talking to him about that. So much has changed since then, and so many issues remain. Dr. Sag, first of all, thanks for returning. We really appreciate your time.
Great. Thank you for having me back.
Let's just start with where we are right now on so many levels with traffic piling up in many communities, people going back to stores, back to businesses. But so many of the same issues remain, and so much misinformation, or I don't know whether it's misinformation or not, but so many confusing and mixed signals. Really interested in your overview of where we are in this process.
Well, I think when in doubt, let's go back to basics. We have a virus that's in our midst. It hasn't gone away. And it's unlikely that it's going to go away over the summer, although we'd all love it to. I don't think that's going to happen. And the second fact that we know is that most of us have not been infected. I'm an exception, my son, as you mentioned, but the majority of us are still susceptible. So you put those two things together, and if you put this virus in an environment where it has the opportunity to infect someone, it's going to do that. And so what we need to do is be in control as much as we can of the virus and prevent either the virus coming into contact with us, or if we have someone who's become infected, find a way to quickly pull them out of wherever they are and isolate them. And then ideally find the people they were in close contact with over the 24 to 36-hour period before, isolate them and test them. Those are the principles. It's really that simple.
Dr. Sag, you work on a college campus, and one of the debates, even before we get to the sports angle, which we will, is when is it going to be safe for anyone, whether you're a young person in elementary or junior high or high school, or especially college students, to get back on campus? We're already seeing some news from out west. There's a lot of confusion. The vice president spoke to college presidents today. What is your opinion?
Well, I'll go back to the basics. So in my opinion, if we're just going to count on hunkering down, staying at home, then any student going back to school or campus and in a dormitory, that's got disaster written all over it if we don't have something else in place. Because the dorm is no different than, say, a nursing home facility, except it's younger people. So it's not that older people are more susceptible to the virus. It's just when they get it, they have typically worse disease. The dormitory has a lot of young people in a relatively small space. That is a big building, but a lot of density of people. Nursing home have the same thing, density of people. So if one or two people in that dormitory become infected, then within a day or two, a lot of other people will become infected. And I think we talked about this last time, but the time of peak infectivity, unfortunately, is in the 24-hour period prior to the onset of symptoms. So that person who ultimately gets sick, say, on a Tuesday, on that Monday, they were infecting a lot of people unknowingly. And that's why we have to have something more than just stay at home, because that ain't going to work.
Dr. Say, I get asked questions all the time. I don't know the answer to any of them. That's why we're so happy to have you. But you've already heard this mentioned many, many times. But we've heard it today. Young people are going to handle this much better than older people, 60 plus, underlying conditions, all of the things that you've talked about your whole life in ID. Can you address that? Because there seems to be a sense that college students will be fine.
Well, in general, that probably is true, but it's the exceptions that create the concern on my part, and I think college presidents and others. Because if somebody just got the infection and only had mild symptoms, they get through it, good for them. Now they have hopefully protective immunity and they move on. But there are young people who get desperately ill, and there have been deaths of people in their 20s for sure. And we're seeing now, for example, in New York and a few other places, children who get infected and get horrible disease. They have at least 3 deaths of children that I'm aware of now, and there's probably more. So there isn't an age cutoff where we can say, okay, if you're below 22 or you're below 25 years of age, you're safe. That is not the case. So that's why the college presidents are responsibly addressing this and trying to create programs that allow students to come back to campus in a safe way. And to go to the next point, there is a way to do that, and that is aggressive testing and isolation, case contact tracing. That's our hope to manage this until we get treatment or until we get a vaccine.
Could you address both the testing and contract testing, and as well as where we are in terms of treatment and a vaccine?
Sure. Okay, so let's start again at the beginning. So what is a test? There are 2 types. The one that matters in this setting is testing for the virus itself. Sometimes those tests, you get them with the nasal swab. I think saliva testing is coming along. And hopefully by August, two good things would happen. We'll have better tests, more accurate, easier to take, faster turnaround, and we'll have more availability of tests. That's what's giving me a glimmer of hope that some campuses can open safely. The second part of the thing is that let's say we find this person who got symptoms on Tuesday. What we would do, isolate them either in the student health area or find some empty dorm where we put people who have COVID, watch them carefully, provide care, but then find the people in their immediate vicinity who have been around them and reasonably close contact, a roommate, in the case of football, a teammate who's been around them, and then we have to test everyone who's been in close contact, hopefully with a rapid test, to tell us whether that person has the virus or not at that moment. But unfortunately, we're also going to have to isolate those individuals at least for a period of time of 7 to 10 days to see if they develop symptoms or they start to shed virus, and we'd have to test them again to determine that. So as you can tell, lots of testing and lots of effort to keep people monitored who have symptoms and get them back into the flow of things once they're well. Complicated.
Yeah, in terms of a vaccine, I mean, I know you're watching this like we all are. Best guess?
I'm hopeful, but I'm not counting on it. So I think the best guess is that the earliest signal we could get possible that a vaccine is having some degree of success might be October at the earliest, and that's crazy to even think. January is more of a realistic time. But a lot of things, Paul, have to go right between now and then. The vaccine actually has to produce immunity. We don't know that for sure. It has to be safe. There's been a lot of vaccines that have been used that have side effects that just make the whole vaccine fail. So we're taking healthy people and we're going to be giving them this injection or two. We can't make them sick with this. So all those things are going to take a little bit of time. And then finally, let's say in a glorious way, we find a vaccine that works by, say, January of 2021. Then it has to be manufactured in a very consistent way that matches all the standards of production of any vaccine, and then produced to a level and a quantity that the majority of people, not just in the United States, we want to do that for sure, but even around the world. This is a global pandemic, and that ain't going to scale up overnight. That could take many months to maybe a year or longer.
A lot of sports questions I'm going to ask you when we come back, but could you address the idea of herd immunity, because it's all over the place and everyone seems to have a different opinion?
Sure. It's really pretty simple. So what herd immunity means is that you get enough people who have had the infection such that the virus just starts to die out because the susceptible people it would want to infect are no longer available in its immediate environment to infect. So, for example, the number we'd like to look at is maybe 60%, 70% of an entire population having already had the infection and having immunity, and then you start to see it thinning out over time. So if we go back to my original concept that you have a virus that's still here and a lot of susceptible people, that's when we're at risk of a sort of conflagration and it takes over. But when you have a majority of people who've already had it, that's where the herd immunity comes in, because there's not as many susceptible people. Here's the problem. Just do some simple math. If we need 60% of the U.S. population, if we're 330 million people, we're talking well over, say, 220 million people who will have had to have been infected. And if the death rates are where they are now, we're going to have 6,000, maybe 10,000 people, 6 million or 10 million people die. That's not a very palatable concept to be thinking about.
Dr. Michael Sagg with us, the infectious disease specialist, epidemiologist at UAB in Birmingham. We'll come back and get to the questions that are discussed here every day. And don't forget, Dr. Sagg is a sports fan, so he wants what we all want. We'll be right back.
Call Feinbaum now, 855-242-7285. That's 855-242-PAUL. This is the Paul Feinbaum Show.
At AutoZone, we've always been here to help you get what you need to go where you need. That hasn't changed. In need of an oil change? Right now you can get 5 quarts of Castrol GTX high mileage motor oil and an STP oil filter for just $27.99. And if you need something fast, you can get it fast, your way. Whether it's next day delivery or free same day pickup, in store or curbside, the choice is yours. Get in the zone. AutoZone. Restrictions and details on AutoZone.com.
Okay, you know how it feels when you've saved enough for that long-awaited home edition? Now imagine an addition on that addition. Whoa. That's the feeling with Capital One, where a new savings account earns an interest rate 5 times the national average. That's right, 5 times, as represented by 5 times more singers. This is banking reimagined. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. Rate comparison based on FDIC national rate. Capital One N.A. member FDIC.
Are you paying too much for term life insurance? There's a tremendous price war among the major term life companies, and rates have dropped dramatically in the past few years. For example, for a man age 45 non-tobacco user, it's $1 million of coverage at $75 per month, level rate for the next 10 years. Or a man age 50 non-tobacco user can obtain $500,000 of coverage for a monthly premium of only $110 per month, guaranteed not to change for the next 20 years. That's right, level rate guaranteed not to change for the next 20 years. If you're a smoker, we have great rates available for you as well. At At TermBusters, we specialize in policies of $500,000 and above. If you're looking for a new or replacement term life insurance, call today for a quote at 1-866-929-1950. That's 1-866-929-1950. You're probably paying more than you should. Call TermBusters at 1-866-929-1950. That's 1-866-929-1950. Remember, 1-866-929-1950. Rates and availability may vary by state. Sample rate quotes for preferred non-tobacco underwriting. Exam required to qualify.
So I'm apartment hunting and having this debate with a landlord.
Like I said, no pets. Just can't rent you the unit.
Yeah, he's a dog, but sir, he's not a pet.
He's four-legged, he's hairy, he's on a leash, that's a pet.
No, Henry is an assistance animal. Look, I'm legally blind. Couldn't you make a reasonable accommodation for my guide dog?
Young lady, you can call your canine friend anything you want. Those are the rules.
Rules? Rules that allow for housing discrimination? So I made a call to HUD to confirm that indeed landlords must make reasonable accommodations for assistance animals. And now we're so happy in our new apartment.
If you think you've been discriminated against because of your disability, race, color, religion, national origin, sex, or familial status, call the HUD hotline, 1-800-669-9777, or go to hud.gov/fairhousing. File a complaint. Make something happen.
Fair housing is your right. Use it.
A public service message from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development in partnership with the National Fair Housing Alliance.
Looking for future leaders we can believe in? Look no further than the high school student athletes right here in Florida. High school sports teach young people how to be effective leaders. It includes learning to listen, accepting responsibility, being a good role model, and it's about respect. The result, it transcends sports. It gives us hope for the future. This message presented by the Florida High School Athletic Association and the Florida Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
What if people had a battery level icon? Like on your phone? You'd see a lot of us in need of a recharge. Thank goodness there's 5-Hour Energy. Because just one sugar-free, vitamin-packed 5-Hour Energy shot can get you all the way back to 100% fast. And isn't life better at 100%? 5-Hour Energy. Get back to 100%. For more information, visit 5hourenergy.com.
JP here. At ESPN Pensacola, we are hometown proud. Like the greatest pound-for-pound boxer of all time, Roy Jones Jr.
Three-time light heavyweight world champion and former heavyweight champion of the world, future Hall of Fame legend, Roy Jones Jr.
What up? It's your boy Roy Jones Jr. and you're listening to ESPN Pensacola.
The greatest name in sports radio is ESPN. Wherever you have Alexa, you can hear ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. Just say,
Alexa, enable ESPN Pensacola 1330 skill.
This is Northwest Florida's all sports, all the time station. From Destin to New Orleans, sports fans come here for ESPN and local sports talk. ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. The teams, the games, the fans, the local talk. This is ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
We're back with Dr. Michael Sagg, the renowned epidemiologist in Birmingham. Dr. Sagg, before we get to the question that we all want to ask you, how difficult is it as a scientist and as someone who deals with this to try to just tune out the noise when it comes to the political part of it? Because everyone seems to know everything. But there's this intense battle, and maybe you've seen something quite like this in the past over some of the other work that you've done. But the constant battle between reopening the economy and what many of you and your colleagues are saying.
Yeah, it's been hard on kind of all of us. First off, and I think there's two issues here. One is people are struggling to know what the truth is because they're getting their sources in many different directions, and oftentimes it's coming to folks through a political lens or a filter. And that's unfortunate because truth is truth. And that's why I welcome the opportunity to come on this show, and I can just lay it out there and people can hear at least the truth as I see it as a scientist and as a researcher. So that's the first thing. And the second thing is that we tend to want certain things in terms of the economy, and we also want safety. And unfortunately, these are getting pitted against one another. It's like you're either for public health and safety or you're for opening the economy. It's, in my mind, not an either or. It's an and. We need to do both. And if we go back to what I said in the earlier segment, we can do both. Hunkering down at home is not sufficient for opening the economy. But if we get the testing in place, if we find ways to manage the people who are infected and get them isolated when we know about their case and do the case contact tracing, we have a chance to do both, get the economy going, for that matter, get sports going, and have safety at the same time. But it's going to take a lot of effort and a lot of strategic thinking and implementation.
Okay, Dr. Zag, let's get to the sports equation. We all want to see it. We'll stay with colleges because you're on a college campus and you live in the hotbed of intercollegiate athletics. Take us through the college football question.
I like what Tony Fauci said, and I think he was right. He was talking about the NFL, but the same concepts. What we're going to have to do is have a lot of testing available to us, and what we would probably do is, say, in this case, on a Friday before a Saturday game for college, we would test every player on the team, the coaches, and find out who might be harboring the virus and maybe not have symptoms. And certainly anyone who develops symptoms during the week, you take them out as fast as you can from the other players and support them, but isolate and then maybe test at that point. But every Friday test. Those who test positive, again, they won't be able to play. Sorry. That's just the way it's going to have to be because you don't want them, A, in the locker room or at the meal tables or in the weight room with others potentially spreading the virus, and you don't want them transmitting to the coaches or to the players on the other team. You have the game, you go about your business, but it's going to have to be a lot of testing, frequently, maybe even spot testing during the week. Without testing, I don't think it's possible, Paul, because we're going to end up, like I said before, we've got, if you have a positive patient or two in, let's say, a weight room and lifting weights, and when you lift, you breathe hard, and when you breathe hard, the virus goes into that environment, and one person could infect 20, 30, maybe 40 other people, and then the whole team gets sick, and that's not good for them, and it's not good for the future of the sport if so many people can't play. So we have to be able to do it in a safe way, and the bottom line for any solution is having rapid testing available that's accurate.
Oh, are we equipped? Will we be equipped to do that in time for the season?
Well, I can tell you, at least from the University of Alabama system, so UAB, where I work, is part of the University of Alabama systems, and we're working very hard right now. Maybe partly because of football, but mostly because we want to get students back on campus. I can't imagine having a freshman year for me in college and not being able to do that socialization, which I think is so critical to development and also to just learning how to exist on a college campus. You need that socialization time. So getting students on campus is a top priority, I know, for the University of Alabama systems, and we're working extremely hard now. It's mid-May, and we're trying to get all the testing available, ramped up, and not just for the students, but also for the student athletes, the coaches, and the faculty, and we're also trying to do it for our communities as well.
Scientists do real work. They don't make guesses. But as you look ahead over these next few months, what are you telling your colleagues that are in administration and in athletics? What standards do they need to meet before you would feel comfortable with letting students on campus, and in particular, letting football commence on September 5th?
It's an assurance that we have a solid plan that's able to be implemented thoroughly. And that plan has already been developed, by the way. So we're now in the process of getting all the building blocks in place in terms of testing, case contact tracing, identifying space so that when a student or a student athlete tests positive, we have a place for them to go that's safe for them, but also safe for the other students on campus. These things are in operation right now in terms of preparing. And if those boxes aren't checked by the 1st of August or maybe even the end of July, I don't see any way that not just that our recommendation wouldn't be there, but I know the leadership at this university, on UAB's campus, Huntsville, also in Tuscaloosa, they don't want to put any student in harm's way. And so we're going to try to make sure that this is done. What's the likelihood? If you'd asked me 4 weeks ago, I said, I don't think so. Now I've seen the plan. I've seen what's going on. I'm cautiously optimistic. I think it's more likely that we'll see students on campus at the University of Alabama systems in August than we'll have a vaccine available in January.
And with students on campus, you feel comfortable that college football can take place?
I think there's a good possibility, but I wouldn't say it's certainly not definite. These things have to be met. And also, I didn't say this, but this is critical too, obviously. We're going to have to monitor, right? Our system, I think, is sound, and I think it really can work. But the proof's in the pudding. In a lot of ways, this is a giant experiment because we've never dealt with this before. Never dealt with this virus, never dealt with the situation of lockdown, if you will, and releasing people back. We're going to have to monitor every single day to see what the trends are. And if we see an uptick, especially a huge spike in cases, we're going to have to revisit things. But I'm hopeful that doesn't happen.
Finally, and nobody wants to think about anything other than being upbeat and positive, but in terms of the season, what would, if it starts, what would be your biggest concern?
I think my first and foremost concern is for the students and the student athletes and the coaches. My second concern is for the campus in general, all the staff and faculty, and then also, of course, the fans. There's some discussion going about, well, how can we safely let fans come in the stadium? Let's say half the number, 50,000 instead of 100,000. And is there a way to do that safely? Maybe everybody wearing a mask and having people get their temperature screened. But I think that, to me, personally, I'm not speaking for the Alabama system now, just me, I think the fan base in the stadium is secondary. I think having the games played safely is first and foremost is getting students on campus safely. Then behind that, I would say having student athletes and coaches be able to have a game safely. And then the fans I care about, I'm one of them, but I don't want to see any of us be put in harm's way unnecessarily. So those are the things that I think we need to think through.
Finally, we're talking about young people, of course, but there are older people involved. The coach at the University of Alabama, Nick Saban, will be 69 in October. What is your level of concern for a lot of people who are part of the program but aren't 19-year-old players?
That's right. It gets back to what we were saying earlier, Paul. So we do our best to prevent people from getting infected, but that we can't make it 100% safe. And we know that if someone who's over the age of, I'd say, 45 or 50, they're going to have a tougher course of illness than, say, the 21-year-old. And for someone like a Coach Saban or other people on the staff who are in their 60s, there's a pretty good chance if they were to get infected, they're going to have a bad illness. I'm 64. I had a bad illness. I survived, but I wouldn't want to go through that again, and I wouldn't want to see anybody go through it. So what we have to do is do our best at prevention and try to keep Coach Saban and every coach and every member of the athletic staff, who, especially those who are older, but everyone, keep everyone safe and try to avoid the infection in everything that we do.
Dr. Michael Sack, I can't thank you enough for spending this much time with us. Be well, and hopefully we'll have better news the next time we talk. But we look forward to visiting with you again soon, I hope.
Thank you. I look forward to it.
Thank you very much. Michael Sagg, the epidemiologist from UAB in Birmingham. And we will take a short break.
Call Feinbaum now, 855-242-7285. That's 855-242-PAUL. This is the Paul Feinbaum Show.
Every home has things it needs, things that need to be maintained, fixed, or replaced. The Home Depot is here to help you get it done. You can easily find what you need on our app, order it online with the push of a button, and have it brought to your door with free delivery on over 1 million items. We have the essentials you need, the online know-how you may need to do it yourself, and low prices that make it all possible. The Home Depot, how doers get more done.
Geico knows there are many reasons why you ride, from the camaraderie of the other bikers, a band of brothers, always there for you, rain or shine, to the amazing savings you get with Geico on your motorcycle insurance and accessories coverage all year round. But for Bucky Hornhill, it was one reason in particular.
It was my helmet hair. I was born with helmet hair. I've tried to cut it a bunch of times, even buzzing it, but it immediately just goes back to helmet hair.
Geico Motorcycle. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Here at ESPN Pensacola Sports Headlines, I'm JP. Participants on a Board of Governors call Tuesday with NBA Commissioner Adam Silver left the virtual meeting feeling increasingly positive about the league's momentum toward a resumption of play this season. Owners and executives on the call were encouraged by the league's progress toward minimizing health risk upon a return and the league's office's positive conversations with the NBA Players Association about the players' desire to eventually restart the season. Discussions centered on health and safety concerns, including the goal of getting team officials and players comfortable with the idea that a positive test for the coronavirus upon a return would not shutter play. Commissioner Adam Silver told those on the call that if a positive test would shut us down, we probably shouldn't go down this path. And the NCAA won't mandate or oversee a uniform return to college sports, NCAA President Mark Emmert said Tuesday, leaving decisions on start dates to state officials and university presidents. Normally there's an agreed-upon start date for every sport, every season, Emmert told ESPN, but under these circumstances, now that's all been derailed by the pandemic. It won't be the conferences that can do that either. It will be local and state health officials that say whether or not you can open and play football with fans. We already saw the Oregon governor offering her views on what's likely to happen in September. The Pac-12 can say, gee, we'd all like to open up on this date, but whether or not you can is going to be ultimately up to the state and local health officials and the campus itself making a decision whether or not they want to go forward. Arizona Governor Doug Ducey has opened the door for professional sports to return to the state. Ducey said Tuesday that professional sports including the MLB, NBA, NHL, and NFL can resume without fans Saturday. And for your Korean baseball update, the LG Twins took down the SK Wyverns 14-2. The Samsung Lions shut out the Kaiwoom Heroes 5-0. The Kia Tigers beat the Hanwha Eagles in a close one 4-3. The Lot Giants stay hot and beat the Doosan Bears 10-9. And the NC Dinos took down the KT Wiz 5-4. And for your ESPN Pensacola Sports Headlines, I'm JP.
So I'm apartment hunting and having this debate with a landlord.
Like I said, no pets. Just can't rent you the unit.
Yeah, he's a dog, but sir, he's not a pet.
He's four-legged, he's hairy, he's on a leash, that's a pet.
No, Henry is an assistance animal. Look, I'm legally blind. Couldn't you make a reasonable accommodation for my guide dog?
Young lady, you can call your canine friend anything you want. Those are the rules.
Rules? Rules that allow for housing discrimination? So I made a call to HUD to confirm that indeed landlords must make reasonable accommodations for assistance animals. And now we're so happy in our new apartment.
If you think you've been discriminated against because of your disability, race, color, religion, national origin, sex, or familial status, call the HUD hotline, 1-800-669-9777, or go to hud.gov/fairhousing. File a complaint. Make something happen.
Fair housing is your right. Use it.
A public service message from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development in partnership with the National Fair Housing Alliance.
JP here. Everyone here at ESPN Pensacola wants to send a shout out to our first responders and healthcare workers at this time. We know it's tough, but we appreciate the work you put day in and day out. We also want to thank our essential workers out there for helping all of us continue to live our lives as normal as possible in this time. For our community, keep rocking it. We are going to get through this. Remember, we were named the #1 strong town in America. That wasn't by accident. We have seen so many people step up and do their part, and we thank all those people for their efforts. We will be stronger for this, and together, we will beat COVID-19.
If you are a collector, investor, or just an avid sports fan, then listen up. Coins, sports cards, and racing collectibles in Gulf Breeze has one of the largest sports memorabilia collections in the area, with new inventory arriving weekly. If Hot Wheels is your thing, they have that too, with old, new, and special edition models to choose from. At Coins, sports cards, and racing collectibles, you can buy, sell, or trade. Located on Highway 98 in Gulf Breeze, Coins, sports cards, and racing collectibles is the place to go to collect either for fun or to invest for profits.
ESPN app.
Welcome back. Let's continue with some calls and reaction. Mike is in Los Angeles. Hello, Mike.
Good afternoon, Paul. Thank you for having Dr. Sag on. What a sobering call and what a great call to be able to listen to him for 2 segments and to get an insider's perspective on what's going on. That was just a real treat. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I wanted to ask, I know you're familiar with Trey Smith, left guard, University of Tennessee, and I missed most of his second year because of a blood clotting issue. And Trey is a all-SEC offensive lineman who came back to Tennessee for his senior year to improve his draft stock. And for those that aren't familiar, Trey's mother died when he was 15. He came to Tennessee as a 5-star guy, and he doesn't even practice during the week because he has a blood clotting issue that affects his lungs. And what the epidemiologists and the doctors are talking about, that there's a clotting issue that occurs with this. And it seems to me, as much as I'd like to see him playing with Cade Mays and Brandon Ingram and the 2 5-star tackles, I wanted to ask Dr. Sag, does it even make sense for him to show up on campus right now?
Yeah, that's a really interesting question, Mike. And I think we focus so much on elderly, and I thought Sag lowered that number pretty dramatically. I think he said 45. Underlying conditions, and I'm not going to try to explain, and we don't have the time. But I mean, if you have any sort of conditions, it creates issues. Especially with what he had. I don't know how to answer you there, but it's a great question. I'm sure the Tennessee medical staff, which is outstanding, has thought about it, and it's one that I wish I'd asked Jeremy Pruitt the other day. I mean, he may not have been in a great position to answer, but I'll see what I can find out about that.
And can I ask another question?
Sure.
Well, I was thinking about, you talk about Nick Saban, you talk about Mac Brown, who's an older coach, and I know that Mac at North Carolina has a coach on staff that just got over throat cancer. So, we're talking about the games and the dollars and the health, but what's the press conference going to look like? And hopefully we don't have it, but if we play football and a couple of kids infect someone and we start talking about, it just happened, someone got infected and a coach got infected and someone passed away because
Mike, let me jump in because we don't have a lot of time, but I think I can tell you what the reaction is going to be, cataclysmic. I think that's the great fear, and I know that a lot of people say we don't have time to fear. We got to do this. And I'm fine with that too. I want to do the same things everyone else does, but that is a scary proposition. But it's real, and I understand there's a risk every time people get up in the morning. Up against a break, Heather Dinich interviewed the president of the NCAA. We'll get her reaction to that when we come back.
It's time for some straight talk. Even though most live sports are on hold now, big wireless companies haven't stopped playing games. They're always trying to lock you into overpriced contracts. With Straight Talk Wireless, there are no contracts. It runs on America's best network, same as the big carriers, but you save up to 50%. $45 a month gets you the unlimited plan with 25 gigs of high-speed data, then 2G. You might miss sports, but don't play games, you'll lose. Straight Talk Wireless. No contracts, no compromise.
Savings may vary. See terms and conditions at straighttalk.com.
O'Reilly. When you need auto parts, O'ReillyAuto.com is just a few clicks away. We offer convenient options for you to get your parts quickly. Order online and pick up for free at your local O'Reilly Auto Parts store. We'll even bring it out curbside. Or you can have your parts delivered right to your door with free shipping on most orders over $35. Visit O'ReillyAuto.com.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
For This Week in Sports History, I'm JP. In 1900, James Jeffries knocks out James Corbett in 23 rounds for the heavyweight boxing title. In 1953, in his first world heavyweight title defense, Rocky Marciano knocks out former champion Jersey Joe Walcott in the first round at Chicago Stadium. In 1958, Stan Musial is the 8th player to get 3,000 hits. Musial set NL records for career hits, runs batted in, games played, at-bats, and runs scored. In 1970, Atlanta Braves' Hoyt Wilhelm pitches in his 1,000th game, losing to the Cards 6-5. Wilhelm, who fought in World War II, is 6th in MLB history, pitching in 1,070 games. In 1986, Reggie Jackson hit his 537th home run, passing Mickey Mantle into 6th place. And in 2007 PGA Players Championship TPC at Sawgrass, American Phil Mickelson wins by 2 strokes ahead of runner-up Sergio Garcia of Spain. The event played in May for the first time. That's This Week in Sports History. I'm JP.
The teams, the games, the fans, the local talk. This is ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
For This Week in Sports History, I'm JP. In 1900, James Jeffries knocks out James Corbett in 23 rounds for the heavyweight boxing title. In 1953, in his first world heavyweight title defense, Rocky Marciano knocks out former champion Jersey Joe Walcott in the first round at Chicago Stadium. In 1958, Stan Musial is the 8th player to get 3,000 hits. Musial set NL records for career hits, runs batted in, games played, at-bats, and runs scored. In 1970, Atlanta Braves' Hoyt Wilhelm pitches in his 1,000th game, losing to the Cards 6-5. Wilhelm, who fought in World War II, is 6th in MLB history, pitching in 1,070 games. In 1986, Reggie Jackson hit his 537th home run, passing Mickey Mantle into 6th place. And in 2007 PGA Players Championship TPC at Sawgrass, American Phil Mickelson wins by 2 strokes ahead of runner-up Sergio Garcia of Spain. The event played in May for the first time. That's This Week in Sports History. I'm JP.
So I'm apartment hunting and having this debate with a landlord.
Like I said, no pets. Just can't rent you the unit.
Yeah, he's a dog, but sir, he's not a pet.
He's 4-legged, he's hairy, he's on a leash, that's a pet.
No, Henry is an assistance animal. Look, I'm legally blind. Couldn't you make a reasonable accommodation for my guide dog?
Young lady, you can call your canine friend anything you want. Those are the rules.
Rules? Rules that allow for housing discrimination? So I made a call to HUD to confirm that indeed landlords must make reasonable accommodations for assistance animals. And now we're so happy in our new apartment.
If you think you've been discriminated against because of your disability, race, color, religion, national origin, sex, or familial status, call the HUD hotline, 1-800-669-9777, or go to hud.gov/fairhousing. File a complaint. Make something happen.
Fair housing is your right. Use it.
A public service message from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development in partnership with the National Fair Housing Alliance.
What's up, Chad here from the Sports Drive. Well, no sports to talk about. March Madness canceled, every major sport, so maybe you get to spend some more time around your family. Oh, what? Not supposed to touch anybody? Well, just go home and watch Price is Right. But if you are older, you have a better chance of getting it. Right, Mike Gundy? Oh, 40? You should be all right. And he won't be broadcasting sports, but one guy that feels the same way we all do with no sports, probably Joe Buck.
Oh, gosh. Oh, man. Oh, my goodness.
Sports Drive 5 to 7 with no sports.
This is ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM and 99.1 FM, the only local station that talks sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. From Gullick and Wingo to the Sports Drive with Chad Brillante. Plus talk football with Coach K at noon, sports call every Saturday. If you'd like to partner with us as an advertiser or a promotional partner, just give us a call at 262-6000.
You're listening to ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. All sports, all the time. WEBY, Milton, Pensacola.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
Coming up on the Sports Drive, we're going to take a look at the sports that are getting ready to start. And the big announcement in the state of Florida. The beaches are open, and now maybe a little foosball.
Emmett Smith has just become the NFL's all-time leading rusher. Across the middle, it is caught for the first. It's Baldwin shaking free and sprinting down the sideline for the touchdown. His third of the day. Doug Baldwin.
Derek Brooks, who ran back 3 interceptions for touchdowns in the regular season, does it to cement the Super Bowl.
Boxing's elite, the new WBA heavyweight champion of the world, Roy Jones Jr.
Baldwin beaten. The result has come up on screens that Gatlin's taken it. Goodness me, it was a blue American best. 9.92 for Gatlin. 9.92 by the American champion to take gold.
Another Watson is wearing a green jacket at Augusta. And this time, his name is Bubba.
Scores on a 34-yard touchdown run by the Doak Walker Award winner, Trick Richardson, who broke a lot of Emmett Smith's records back in Pensacola, Florida.
And welcome into the Sports Drive right here on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. I am Chad Brilliante, simulcast each and every night on Blab TV. Proud to be the home of the UWF Argonauts, Pensacola Blue Wahoos, and more. And, man, good news today for our job in sports. Some people will probably put more memes out there or Facebook posts, and we got to get used to it at this point. But the state of Florida has pretty much opened up sports again. Remember, a lot of people sounded like those creatures from one of those South Parks when they decided to have WrestleMania. And this was a while back. This is way back yonder. This is like right when it happened. Like, yeah, you know what? Gronkowski's still going to get his punches in there, win some kind of fake title, and we'll move on. But when it comes down to the sports that we love, and today there's more interaction than ever. Fantasy football. I realized at an early age the importance of what sometimes not only the teams but the players mean to people that maybe they root against every single day of their life when you have a situation like fantasy football. I saw a guy in a Dallas Cowboy jersey, and he's sitting there, and Donovan McNabb was, I would hope, on his team. But he threw a game-winning touchdown pass in that final moment. Andy Reid probably went home and ate a double. But he threw a touchdown pass to T.O., and they won the football game against Dallas, too. And this guy in a Dallas jersey starts hugging everybody at the bar, crying almost, like he had just won Miss America. And I sat there and said, something's off here. Something's going on. Like, did I see the same game? Like, well, okay, we had a pitcher. We had some wings at the bar. So I'm like, okay, so what's going on here? I realized he looked over and he goes, McNabb, man, McNabb, he won me the league. And he had won a big fantasy football league. I don't know, probably like from that guy's reaction, probably $2. Usually the guys with the biggest reactions are the ones that have $2. It's like the guy that drives the Ferrari, the drop top. You ladies out there, you probably know what the answer to that question is if he asks you to go home. But when it comes down to what happened in sports now with Florida was that state that stepped up and said, yeah, you know what? We got some sports to play. And did it in a way where not like Stone Cold Steve Austin, like, yeah, we're just going to stun you here, man, and do it. It was, we actually have been doing a good job keeping the cases down outside of a couple hot spots in places like South Florida. So they did it, and it worked out, and no problem. But today, opening it up, pretty big news, and pretty excited for what we do. Very excited to see that sports is opening back up in the States. JP, what's happening, my friend?
Yeah, I understand that. I was on the other end of that fantasy football.
You were
of all people, Brashad Perriman cost me a little over $400.
Did he really?
Yeah, he did. Week 17, I was up.
You know where we went to college, right?
I don't want to talk about it.
But no, bring it up, please.
No, I don't. I'm not doing it. But yeah, he cost me. I lost by 4
UCF,
points.
by the way.
I don't know. I don't care. Yeah, he wasn't scoring that many points then.
No, we claimed a victory, but you didn't get it.
But no, I lost by 4 points when I was up by 40 going into the final week, and just the icing on top was Brashad Perriman going for like 130 yards and a touchdown with, I think it was like 5 or 6 catches, and yeah, so I get that. I ended up coming in second, and I got my money back, but I lost about $400 or $500. So it's a darn shame. I get it. I was on the other end of that, but you know what? It is what it is. That's that's the other thing. For a lot of people, like, that's crazy to play fantasy football. I love it. I just love the thrill. Listen, we've been athletes before, and we're not talking about like, oh yeah, bro, I've been pro athletes. I have never been a pro athlete. Never. I'm not saying that at all. But people who played in college, or played in high school, college, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. You don't have to play college. But if you played in high school, you still have that competitive bone in your body. And anything you can do to compete, you will. And that's why I love fantasy football. It's one of those like, yeah, take that. And it's so much fun, and there's so much indecision, and it's so aggravating. And, Autumn asked me, she goes, why do you keep playing this? You're yelling. Like, you're yelling at these people on the TV. I'm like, I don't know. I just keep doing it. I love it. I do enjoy it. Why do you watch college football? Being an Oregon fan is hard enough, especially down here when you got champions like LSU and Alabama, and even going back to Florida State's days and Florida and all these other good schools, and being an Oregon fan. If I, like with you, at least you're a team that's down here. I tell people I'm an Oregon fan. They're like, yeah, okay, you bandwagon. Please tell me why I'm bandwagoning a team that's never won a championship.
But honestly, when you say you're an Oregon fan, I think people like Oregon more. And what I mean is, like, when you walk out here, you represent a lot more than what I do. I look like one of those guys fist pumping up in Jersey. You look like somebody that grew up here. I don't. I know that. I'm not from here. But until I was 26, I'd never been here. But when it came down to, but I want to make this place my home for life. The difference is when it comes down to, Oregon, I think most people that aren't from there are thinking like, what's up, brah? What's happening?
Yeah.
Got a little Nike money.
They would actually
We're going to have some fun. And
would
probably
be right.
Probably
Yeah.
correct. So when you bring that up, it's like, all right, this guy, I like this guy right here. He looks like the guy could crack open a cold one, and we could sit there and we can watch the sunset, and then it gets creepy. But you start. That went way off. But something where it comes down to
cracking open a cold one, we can do. Like, if people want to do that, let me know. I'd love to do that.
Well, when it comes down to Saints football, we know right out of the gate they're going to play the Tampa Bay Bucks and some of the all-time great New Orleans Saints. When you think about the names, Drew Brees, Craig Ironhead Hayward, Fred Barnett, you think about names like that when it comes down to the all-time great Saints. And one thing we do know is that the New Orleans Saints are getting set to go for another big season. They're going to have a season coming up here where Drew Brees, don't worry about if he's seeing ARP here soon. You know that he's the kind of guy that the way it's gone down the last couple years has been bad. And he's done it with such a smile on the sidelines. It's like the lady, personally, I think this is a really good analogy. Brittany hates when I bring up analogies, and everybody that knows me, I get off on these things and like, oh, here he goes. I know it. I know it too, myself. But when it comes down to, like, at right around Halloween, and the person's got the big bag of candy, pretty much Drew Brees is the grandma that is so sweet that buys the extra large candy bars, but as she opens the bag of extra large candy bars and pours it into the basket for everybody for Halloween, you're the kid that steals all of those candy bars in front of her, and instead of getting mad, she goes, Happy Halloween! And that's pretty much Drew Brees. Oh, my phone didn't like that one right there.
Wow.
Right here, look at this.
It's talking to you.
I think there's a meeting going on right now, and I need to get that off. All right, so when it came down to Drew Brees, he's the kind of guy that still has it left in the tank. He's fine. He's like that grandma that dumped out those large candy bars. Everybody loves them in town. Don't try to get those. The worst thing I've ever seen in life is fun size candy. What's fun about making the things you love 1/5 the size. Think about that. I hope if anything, like if this was your Confucius moment of the day, this was some like enlightened vision right here outside of sports. What is fun about 1/5 the size of your favorite candy bars? Because that's what fun size is. Look at that. I got a fun size bar right there. What do you mean fun? I would love to get a huge sticker bar. Like, that's the thing that people need to understand is, sometimes it just doesn't make sense. But one thing we need to know with Drew Brees is that this guy has not dropped off. He's getting better, and he's getting a team around him. He's building an army. He's got people like Alvin Kamara. He's got, look, Latavius Murray, go Knights. Got guys like Michael Thomas, who, regardless of what people think, we had a conversation with some people earlier today, Fred and all the folks out there. We appreciate, had some fun. But when it came down to Christian McCaffrey, talking about him, maybe what he did to me in a game, but when it comes down to Christian versus Michael Thomas, we talked about what outside of a quarterback, who would you take as the overall best player in the NFL today on offense? And it came down to Michael Thomas, DeAndre Hopkins, Christian McCaffrey, and at the time, Rob Gronkowski. Now, Gronkowski today doesn't count for that. Who would you put in there? I mean, I know you have Patrick Mahomes, but I think people need to start respecting the heck out of what Travis Kelce can do, first off. I mean, Travis Kelce's a beast. Even when Tyreek Hill had his up and downs, and Tyreek Hill's a speedster, but think about, and this is important too, sometimes when you're early in your career or you're making an upside, it's real easy to say to people, well, you got the 30-year vet right here. He's been here forever, and I really like his news. But you get this young cat, or you get somebody else coming in, and this guy is crushing it, and you sit there and go, oh, you know what? I really like this guy. Travis Kelce hasn't had the momentum for the longevity of 20 years. He's not one of these Antonio Gates or the Tony Gonzalez's. But what he has is every crucial play during the playoffs. Think about it. The big catches against San Fran. The big catches in the game against Houston. He was the difference with Patrick Mahomes in Houston to make those plays. And we give Patrick Mahomes credit for, well, I like to go out there and, Texas Tech, I got my girlfriend, and we like to eat ketchup, and, I play for Andy Dalton, and, Andy Reid.
All right, let's stop. Let's go stop.
When it comes down to an actual guy like Travis Kelce, it's easy when you're playing with a legend to just say, he's good because of this. Now, I've watched enough Travis Kelce to know he's good because he's good. Like bite-sized Kittle out there in San Fran. Those guys are good tight ends. And, JP, as you quoted one time,
oh, geez,
sometimes it takes a good tight end to make a great night. And that's what happened in that game when Travis Kelce made that big play against Houston, and that tight end came through in a huge way. We don't get that kind of stuff every single day out in the football field.
I think
that was
say that.
That was it was a good mark, though. But then you put Travis in that group. So we're going to take Travis and
I may have said Travis. I did not say tight end, but yeah, that's fine.
He plays tight end. It's the same thing, right?
Sure. Let's
yeah.
just say that. No, I think you're right. You have to remember certain guys too, like Julio Jones, that have been doing this forever. Like Julio gets knocked because he doesn't score all the touchdowns, and that's not necessarily Julio's fault. Let's understand that. But guys like that came on this year, like Tyreek Hill, a guy that when you really break it down, you talk about a route runner. Like he's not that great of a route runner. He's just unbelievably fast, like Olympic-style speed. That's the difference in all this. You could go to Devontae Adams. Look at the difference in Green Bay from when Devontae Adams was out to when he came back. And he's the only receiver on that team, really just about, period. Like, he's the only receiver on the team, and you look at guys like that and they're difference makers. And I go back to even if this guy could figure it out, Antonio Brown, look at what he did just with 1 week. If he could I hope he figures it out. For all the people that are like, kick him out of the league, whatever. I don't disagree with that, but I want to see guys that are so talented. If they can correct themselves, if he can get back on the right track, Josh Gordon, if those guys can get back on the right track. Now, with the whole marijuana policy, Josh Gordon would actually be okay, but he still has a problem. Like he admitted he has a problem. You want those guys to get back at this because they're so much fun to watch. And, I don't know. I look at this. Travis Kelce, I agree. Look, he's a guy that up until last year, even through last year until the Super Bowl time, a guy that was severely underrated. Like, we look at tight ends and we almost scoff at him because if your name wasn't Gronkowski, nobody cared. And now, Gronkowski coming back, I do want to make sure we mention that. Don't expect Gronkowski to go out there and do what he's done for so long. But guys like Travis Kelce, look what they mean to that team. It's amazing just to look at some of these guys. And Michael Thomas, how long can Michael Thomas keep what he's doing up?
Yeah.
Getting Emmanuel Sanders for the Saints was a absolute awesome move. I think that is going to be really good because, listen, Emmanuel Sanders, people say, well, you know what, he's never really been the guy. Well, he doesn't have to be the guy now. Michael Thomas is the guy. You have a guy in Traquan Smith, which the Saints made it work last year, and we're pretty good at it. And now you put Emmanuel Sanders where all the pressure's off. He can go out there and just play. I mean, it's just, when we look at this, for the Saints, I think they set up perfectly well. But outside of a quarterback, there's a bunch of quarterbacks you could put on this list. And obviously Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, guys like that would be on the top of the list. It's hard for me, and I don't hesitate to say this. I really don't. People can argue it. But Michael Thomas, outside of a quarterback, and maybe a Christian McCaffrey, Michael Thomas is the next guy. How do you argue that?
Yeah, he is. I would say Michael Thomas, and we'll talk some more about that. I want to talk to Samson too. I want to make sure that this is real when it comes down to it, and when it comes down to the greatest Pensacola athlete of all time, it's going to come down to number 1 versus number 3 in our top 16 brackets. It's brought to you by Coins, Sports Cards, and Racing Collectibles for the champion. And, well, we got about 13 hours left on that poll that I know your uncle Mike Price knows. And when it comes down to it, Roy Jones versus Derek Brooks, number 1 versus number 3. Pound for pound, one of the world's greatest boxers right there, lives here, plays pickup basketball games in Gulf Breeze. He's not afraid to take you on. Somebody's like, is he calling him out? No. He says bring it. 79% to 21%. And Emery Smith, our former co-host and friend, former NFL running back as well, lives here. Great guy. And glad to call him a friend right there. He said, I'm biased, but keeping it real, and listed what looks like a novel right here of Emmitt Smith's records. But, we understand why it wasn't us that voted on this. So if you're an outsider not from Pensacola and you don't see Emmitt in the finals, when Emmitt Smith is from here, the all-time leading running back in the history of the NFL, you might say, okay, what's going on right here? Is this some prank? But the difference is, well, it's about calling Dallas or calling Pensacola your city. And like I said, that's not I didn't grow up here. I've been here the last 10 years, but I know a lot of people that grew up with Emmitt at Escambia and all the other places. They understand that. So this seemed like with Derek and Roy came more down to the city. And it wasn't about us that voted. We put it out there for the city to vote, and hundreds of votes came in, and the winner so far, not officially, but 79% to 21% coming in right now with Roy Jones Jr. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about some of the biggest things going on right now when it comes to sports memorabilia with Mike at Coins, Sports Cards, and Racing Collectibles. It's all coming back right here on the Sports Drive on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
We are strong, we are resilient, and we will get through this together. But these are stressful times, and it's important to also practice good self-care. It's normal to feel overwhelmed, anxious, or afraid, but there is hope. Reach out to someone, connect with your friends, stay in touch with your community, and know that you are not alone. Learn more at wearebroadcasters.com/hope, furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
ESPN Radio proudly recognizes National Military Appreciation Month, presented by Navy Federal Credit Union.
At 18 years old, Yogi Berra put his baseball career on hold and joined the Navy during World War II. After training as a gunner's mate, Yogi took part in the D-Day invasion in 1944. Berra earned a Purple Heart, a Distinguished Unit Citation, 2 Battle Stars, and a European Theater of Operations ribbon during the war.
No one is more reliable than you, the brave men and women of the military. Whether you're on active duty or a veteran, you're always there for us. That's why Navy Federal Credit Union has been there for you since 1933. Now more than ever, we want to thank you. So we're saying it by offering special deals on credit cards, car loans, and certificates. Go to NavyFederal.org/celebrate to find out more. It's just a small token of our appreciation for our reliable military members. Navy Federal Credit Union. Our members are the mission.
There's a chance your local Geico agent has the same hyper-specific taste in music as you.
Yeah, I can't get enough of neo-operatic breakbeat.
Do you listen to Cale Bent and the Lettuce Works?
Only every day.
But there's a better chance your local Geico agent could help you out with insurance. They'll work hard to provide sound advice and significant savings. You don't need a hip, underground music scene to do that. Local Geico agents. Call or visit yours today.
Hello, sports fans. Miles Bentley here, General Manager at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Pensacola. Growing up, I always loved sports. Nothing but net, out of the park, through the uprights. Sink the puck Bentley, that was me. But my love of the game couldn't beat my love for Pensacola and helping folks get on the road of dreams in a new Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Sure, I never went to the big leagues in sport, but we're all pro here at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Proud to be in Pensacola.
Man, last night we put on an epic light show.
So epic.
The crowd loved us.
Wait, there were only 4 people out there.
Yeah, but did you see their 4 faces? Their eyes lit up brighter than ours, and we're fireflies.
Yeah, we are.
And we're gonna be out here rocking out our light show at a forest near you, so come check us out.
Check us out.
Whether you're rocking their world or they're rocking yours, some memories never fade. Come alive with the forest. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a forest near you. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
There's only one name in town when it comes to afternoon local sports talk. The Sports Drive with Chad Brilliante.
Some athletes don't want to be given... nobody does. No, look, when you play with your pops as it gets older, one of the most embarrassing things... My daughter's 3. I just slam it right in her face right at the play school hoop. Like right there, like I'm Zion Williamson.
The games, the players, the fans. ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. We do sports, and that's all we do. We're your hometown sports station. ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
So you think you've got some county line cred cause you rode a dirt road or two. You got a mossy oak hat on top of your head and a Southern Pride tattoo. Yeah, you might have drank a little grain alcohol or hauled a little hay.
And welcome back. Sports Drive on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. Squirrel. No. Looking at the greatest athlete of all time when it comes down to the best player ever in Pensacola sports history. We have so many. I mean, it's some of the... And it's one thing to have good athletes. Like sometimes you get that jersey in the rafters and the guy was like a backup third baseman for a team that was like 50 games under 500. But that's not our athletes. We've got all-time leading running backs, pound for pound, world's greatest boxers. People like Justin Gatlin, who was the world's fastest man. Legit. Derek Brooks. Kids sing about him on a bus, and he goes out there and wins the best defensive player in the history of the game at times when it comes to the linebacker. At one point, he was the best linebacker in the game of football. Now Lawrence Taylor and Ray Lewis have been there as well, and probably would be picked before, but just saying. And joining us now, who has been the sponsor of our greatest Pensacola athlete of all time, is Mike from Coins, Sports Cards, and Racing Collectibles in Gulf Breeze. And this isn't one of these kind of shops that you go in and you get, a couple of those kind of things where like, I think I know this athlete. It's like I got to hold a Babe Ruth signed baseball. I feel like a kid in a candy store just getting to do that. And Mike joins us now online on the air. Mike, how's it going today?
It is going fantastic, Chad.
Well,
thanks for the call.
Absolutely. Well, Mike, first off, I want to say it's your bracket. We've had a chance to go through this, but you've living in Gulf Breeze right there, but representing Gulf Breeze, Pace, Milton when it comes to Ensley, Cantonment, Gonzales, all the places you see popping up, and some of those names you didn't even know existed when a tornado's in town. But we all know that a lot of these cities are represented by the Pensacola area, and that's what this award was about. Doug Baldwin grew up in Gulf Breeze, or a guy like Don Sutton from Molino, but it's still Pensacola area. It's down to Roy Jones Jr. and Derek Brooks. Two things on this. Who do you think would you pick? And second, what do you think overall about the memorabilia of a guy like Roy Jones or Derek Brooks?
You're going to really put me on the spot, huh, Chad?
Well, who do you...
of the two, and I think most represents Pensacola, the area. I'm going to have to say Derek Brooks.
Okay, and that's fair. Yeah, look, Yeah.
Absolutely. He does. It still does many things for this area. Roy Jones Jr., of course, is still in town. He's still very approachable. The number of folks who have had the opportunity to see Roy Jones Jr. in the area, carry up things to get him autographed, and he's always very amenable to those fans. And it's a tough decision between the two.
Look, I fully understand what you're saying there. The first ever show we did here at ESPN Pensacola, Emery Smith was the co-host in that room, and we walked around, and Emery's a friend of mine, and I look back, and he posted this list of, hey, Emmett didn't make it, and he's the all-time greatest running back maybe in NFL history, the sport that owns everything, and I say, but I think what we opened up this vote when we did for people, and I'm looking at this vote with hundreds coming in right now, and it's the people's choice. It's not I'm not from Pensacola, but I've heard the stories, and I've interviewed most everybody on this list. Outside of 2 people out of the 16, I've had interviews either in studio or on the phone, and Emmett does call Dallas home, so I think that played a part in it. But like you said, Derek, what he's done for this city and always being there as well as Roy, it's great to see them in the finals.
Yes. And I think you hit the nail on the head about Emmett.
Yeah.
If you'd asked me on day one, I probably would have said, well, it's going to be Emmett, hands down. But then when you get a little deeper into it, and Emmett still comes back to visits, Emmett still has some ties to the area, but Emmett lives in Dallas.
Exactly. And we don't wish him ill will. I mean, you can pick a city.
Oh,
it's not like
not.
When somebody says, hey, I got my family in Dallas, you're not like fire and brimstone. You're just, when you have a vote for the best Pensacola athlete, it's okay to represent Pensacola. So I completely understand every aspect.
Yes.
Well, Mike, when it comes down to everything that's happened, obviously people have the last couple months have been different. And it's not been different in a way where we've had thunderstorms or we went through a tragedy or something happened. It's something that everybody has had to deal with, and it's been difficult for a lot of families. It's been difficult for a lot of businesses. I want to ask you, from the areas of talking about the product flow from a collectibles store, how has it been for you guys during this the last couple months during COVID-19?
I'll tell you what, on the front end, I didn't know how much impact there would be. And to be perfectly honest, my shop was open in some form throughout this whole period of time. We did make sure we did what was supposed to be done with serving people in the parking lot. People would call in, ask for something. We'd tell them how much money to bring. We'd meet them in the parking lot. Unfortunately, it was just like a drug deal going down. but we managed to do that. But then when it came to looking a little bit deeper, Panini is the biggest producer of sports cards, has been for several years. Panini is located in Italy. There is not a country in Europe harder hit by the coronavirus than has been Italy. Therefore, all of Panini's due dates for products coming out have been pushed back, pushed to the right. Therefore, a little new product has been coming in. Now things are starting to loosen up, and we do expect more new product in. Even on the NASCAR side, unfortunately, I'm going to say most of the NASCAR diecast is produced in China. There were bans against importing things from China, and that hasn't lessened us that much. It's probably been a good 2 months since I've seen a new piece of NASCAR diecast come out. Now, with NASCAR starting up, I think it's this coming weekend, as a matter of fact, we're going to see some new things coming in. I've got an order that probably won't make it until next week, but some new things will be hitting the shop.
Well, Mike, and you know in the business, because I'm sure you've had people in there that have come in and try to play Let's Make a Deal. They watch those shows on TV, these reality shows, and I'm going to give you $20. And you're like, I'm sorry, sir, it says 60 on it. All right, 35. And you're like, I don't think you understand. This isn't a show on the Discovery Channel. But when it comes down to living in an area like Las Vegas, I've seen it before for 3 years where a lot of people are just looking for anything. I actually got stopped one time at a Venetian parking garage. This isn't a joke. And a guy was like, I'll bet you $20 I can race you to my car. And I was like, first off, sir, I don't know if you're going to mug me in the back of the head and lose this race purposely so you can get behind me. And I didn't know what was happening. But that I realized that This guy was just looking for any way to gamble. And when it comes down to sports coming back, NASCAR is coming wide open. And a lot of people aren't regular people that watch. If you're not a regular NASCAR fan, people are still going to tune in. And because they're maybe not into the sport, they might say, you know what, let me go ahead and put a good amount on Ryan Newman coming back, or let's do this, and then become fans of those guys. But when it comes down to NASCAR, I think just like we saw the NFL draft with 7 million more people that were watching because there was nothing else going on compared to the second highest, you're going to see a lot of NASCAR fans in the next couple weeks.
I believe so. I happen to have been in a local, I'm going to say, grill and restaurant a couple of weeks ago, and every television in there was on a different sporting event, and I think the most recent one was 2 or 3 years old. It was replays of everything imaginable. And I think if you don't stop and really think about it, there are so many people who get their relaxation through watching sports activities. And that's been taken away from them now for 2 months and will be to a certain degree for quite a period of time into the future.
Mike, I call those places grills and restaurants myself, too, when I tell my wife when I come home.
Yeah, I understand.
When it comes down to expanded memorabilia, when it comes down to the offerings of stuff that maybe you can't get, talk a little bit about that.
Well, as you mentioned, we've got sitting in our shop right now the only combined Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig, Connie Mack, Jimmy Fox, Carl Averill signed baseball I have ever seen in my life. It is a baseball which was signed as a part of
That's
a
awesome.
1934 tour that Babe Ruth took 2 teams to Japan to introduce the Japanese to the art of baseball. This is even on a Japanese baseball. I have never seen one of these before, and it's in the shop.
That is so cool. I remember Tasca called me that day when she told me about that, and I remember jumping out of bed, and I felt like a scene out of Willy Wonka. I was like, I got the golden ticket. Like I just felt at that moment, as a sports fan, it was so cool to hear about that, because like I said, we're people on air. We have a signal reaches 3.5, 4 states and have a chance to have a simulcast each and every day on TV. And with ESPN right here, home with News Radio, Cat Country, so many great brands, playlists. And I'm sitting here that I got to hold a Babe Ruth baseball. I was like a kid in the candy store. I mean, I always tell kids, I'm like, that was the coolest thing. And JP, my co-host, we stopped by that day to say, hey, before we went by Navarre. But we talk about going through your store, and he saw that Titans helmet and everything that sports fans are sports fans. It doesn't matter what they do. If they're football players in the NFL and they make $50 million, or they're broadcasters, or just the guy that wants to get a gift, we all love sports for a reason. And I think that's what you provide. And you guys, I've been to a lot of stores that this is a let's get real moment kind of thing. I grew up in a lot of places where people, they're not, the best interest is not the customer when they have memorabilia. And you guys, when I walk in that door, you make everybody feel comfortable browsing. You make us feel comfortable. You talk to it, and I think you understand that people feel comfortable looking at the stuff they love without feeling like they're going to leave that place getting gypped in any way. And I respect the heck out of you guys for that, because I've lived that life in so many different places in Miami and other places where you're like, did I really pay $50? This guy's not even on the team.
I very much appreciate that compliment, Chad. Our shop is one where we like to see the customer, or even just the friend, walk in. We fix a pot of coffee every morning. Every once in a while, we'll even serve you with donuts. We have our own hot dog cooker. It's a place to come and just enjoy discussion of sports. If you're interested in something we have in the shop, that's great. If you're not interested and you just want to come in and talk, we're ready for that too. There are several of us in the shop that are very good at talking. I happen to be one of those.
Well, you could tell that sometimes you have to put a muzzle on me. But I remember when you gave us those baseball cards up here, we had them up in the corner, up in this room, and people walk by, and I knew the value of some of them. Some people don't understand, but you look on the back of some of those rookies, and you had Mickey Mantle cards and others, and, each individual card. And I know this is reaching a lot of people today, so these cards are not up here, so I will fisticuff you. But when it comes to having these cards, these were $1,000 cards sitting here on rows and rows and rows of cards. And, people need to understand that that's the kind of people you guys are, is, hey, we're going to give you this. This is a cool look, but the trustworthy. And every one of those, I made sure. We actually got on the floor that day, which we've done a few times, but I got on the floor to make sure every card was back in that box. But the trustworthy thing like that, it means a lot to me. Personally, I'm just telling you, this is not just about your business. This is real right now because I've lived this life. I've traded boxes of cards. And I think right now, a lot of people that their parents, they told them that, you know what, this box is going to be worth a lot of money one day. You use it when you need it. And your pops gave that to you when you were 10. Well, right now is that time for a lot of people as the stimulus check has run out for some people without an essential job. So I hope people out there listening realize how nice of people you are in a business that you don't get a lot of nice people.
Well, you're very much correct about that. I always attribute those type of compliments to the fact my daddy raised me right.
Well, he did.
We had a situation in the shop just this last Saturday. We had an event at the shop to thank first responders and medical professionals all day long this past Saturday. While I was outside doing the meet and greet stuff that you have to do when you have one of those, a young boy showed up in our shop. He was there with whom I believe was his grandmother.
Mike, I got status that was his mom, and she is just text me. She is very offended. But continue, please. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding with you.
You got me. But this young kid, I was standing outside, and one of the guys who works with me there came up and whispered to me, this young man buried his mother this morning. Okay, now here's the story. He's a NASCAR fan. He's a Kyle Busch fan. He opened a box of product there in the shop. It's a product that you only get one autograph out of. You want to guess? He got Kyle Busch. He got Kyle Busch.
Wow.
We had received a Kyle Busch car in the shop that I only had two of. Well, as soon as that happened, of course, I went over there and I got one, and he got a Kyle Busch car to go with that Kyle Busch card as well. And that's the kind of camaraderie of caring and things that go on in my shop. Do I look to make this shop the most profitable thing that ever existed? No, and that's not important to me. I'm having one hell of a time with sports in general and with people in particular, and life is good.
Well, Mike, I mean, you don't understand how much those words that you just said, it means a ton to me today, and it means a lot to people, because I think a lot of people are feeling that. We're doing today is this isn't really an anniversary date, but it's two months exactly today from the time that sports came to a halt. And we joke because Rudy Gobert hugged some kids in Utah, and then college basketball stopped, and Friday the 13th was in March, but we talk about Thursday the 12th, and it came to a complete halt after that, where every sport, and even those rebel sports like UFC and NASCAR, some of the guys are like, we're just going to do it in America, and then they stopped. And then you realize at that point, XFL, and then they bankrupt, and now there's legalities going on. So many things have happened, and the week before, we were talking to Oliver Luck, the NFL coach, Kay Stevenson, lives in Gulf Breeze, great guy. JP and I both host his show right here every afternoon. And Coach Kay and Oliver were friends, and we had him on every week. We had an Inside the XFL show, and then it just comes to a halt. Things like that were happening left and right. And we realized that sports fans have still held strong. We've done a show for 2 months now without actual games outside of Korean baseball at 3 a.m., and I'm not proud when I'm still up watching that, but I have to say it's gotten to the point where people, if you have people showing up and buying these things, it's because it shows you, people like myself and JP, when we get done here, we support local sports places like that because it means a lot to us, just like local businesses do. So I hope everybody listening today understands that Mike at Coins Sports Cards and Racing Collectibles has your back, and the way that he's just talked about this on air, and he's real, and you guys need to go support him as well as local.
I very much appreciate that, Chad.
Well, it means a lot, and Mike, we'll talk again here soon, and I'm looking forward to that. After Tennessee, I was going to actually buy my friend JP a Tennessee volunteer that helmet, and I'm going to go ahead. I'm still, because it was
Not
from
volunteers.
your shop. Listen.
Not volunteers.
No, I know. Titans.
Thank you.
But because I still
Big
want to do
difference.
business, I'm going to come down there and get another helmet. But after I'm salty and his Titans beat my Pats, there's no chance I'm even touching that. But I will buy something else out of that. And Mike, I appreciate you guys representing the greatest Pensacola athlete. Mike,
see us anytime you can.
thank you so much. I appreciate it.
You have
You too. Mike from Coins, Sports Cards, and Racing Collectibles. What a great guy, and really is. And, sometimes I think people paint pictures of everything. Let's be real. I mean, let's be honest with everything that we talk about. Sometimes people, don't go down there. PC. If you say, hey, I'm going to Jersey, you think of a guy in a pair of Wranglers with a cowboy hat? Somebody's laughing right now because that sounds ridiculous. But if a guy lived there and did that, you'd be like, that's it, yeah. Just be real sometimes. When you think of people that sell cards and collectibles, you think of the guy going, hey, $50. And then you look it up at the Beckett when you get home, and it's like 15. And you're like, you son of a... And there's nothing that you can do because he's a businessman. We're putting that in quotes. It's the polar opposite when you go down there. If you can walk in a store of signed autograph helmets of your favorite players and jerseys and cards like I got to hold a Babe Ruth baseball. I mean, that's so cool. All this stuff, and you know that not only are you going to be treated nice, but this guy's going to also come up to you and like put a hand on your shoulder and be like, hey, what can I do to help you here? Is that for your dad? Those are the people down there. It's awesome. And I hope people understand that, because everything that I try to say and is from the heart, and this guy is a great guy. So, Mike, if you're out there, I know we just finished talking to you, but if you're still listening, I appreciate everything that you guys have done at Coins, Sports Cards, and Racing Collectibles. And Tasca for introducing me to you guys, because you're great people, and I'll continue to buy all my memorabilia for, not my brother, he's a Gator fan, I'm not buying him crap, but everybody else is going to get some really cool stuff, like that fake national title shirt from UCF. When we come back, we're going to talk a little more of our greatest Pensacola athlete, brought to you by Coins, Sports Cards, and Racing Collectibles, and we'll get to more on the games coming up here, because the state of Florida, Sunshine State, got a little sunnier today in sports as they've opened up a lot of the different venues back open for sports.
Though we're apart these days, we're sharing more. So, at Geico, we'd like to say thanks. Thanks for sharing your savage dance moves. Thanks for sharing your DIY haircut fails. Thanks for sharing your inner lip sync star. Now, it's our turn to share with the Geico Give Back, a 15% credit on car and motorcycle policies for current and new customers. Because we're committed for the long haul, the 15% credit lasts your full policy term. Visit geico.com/giveback for more info and eligibility.
Bowling is a sport that will last you a lifetime, and at Cordova Lanes on Airport Boulevard, every night there is something exciting happening. Like on Tuesday and Thursday, it's penny a pin. Bowl 100, pay $1. Or how about starting your weekend off right by reserving a lane for just $25 at Moonlight Bowling. Enjoy a fresh-made pizza and the lowest pitcher prices in Pensacola. So what are you waiting for? It's time to roll your way into Cordova Lanes and experience fun like never before.
Nick Saban has a message for us regarding the coronavirus.
First of all, I hope this message finds you and your family safe and well. On behalf of our program, we want to give thanks to all the medical professionals and caregivers in our state and across the country in these challenging times. Our daily routines have changed dramatically over these past weeks. As we have said to our team, we share the same message to all of you. Please understand the following guidelines of social distancing. We ask that everyone please wash your hands often. Stay at home if at all possible. And when you have to be out in public, make sure you keep 6 feet between you and the nearest person. We are in this together, and as one team, we will get through these difficult times. And together, we look forward to all that's to come, like the opportunity to play college football this fall. But the best and safest way to ensure that happens is to listen to the experts, follow their guidelines, and take care of each other. Stay safe and roll Tide.
Football season never ends on Talk Football with Coach K.
Stidham is tearing it up at New England. He may well be the incumbent to Tom Brady there.
Former head coach of the Buffalo Bills, Coach K brings his expertise as he breaks down the game, the players, the coaches, and the front office. Plus, high-profile interviews from the biggest names in football. Talk Football with Coach K every weekday from noon till 1 on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 FM 99.1.
This is Davis Allen from Sports Call with Davis and Justin. You're listening to the Sports Drive with Chad Brilliante on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
The girl them skill arty. Shonda Paul, some give it to, some give it to, some give it to our girls. 5 million and 40 naughty shorty. Baby girl, all my girls, all my girls. Shonda Paul say, well, I'm on the way, the time cold, I wanna be keeping you warm. I got the right temperature for shelter you from the storm.
And welcome back, Sports Drive on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM, simulcast each and every day on Blab TV. Taking a look here at some of the things going on right now as they made the announcement today. Big news for the state of Florida about the governor coming out and saying sports are pretty much the venues ready to go. And Governor DeSantis is, it depends a ton about who you are as a person, but I've had conversations all this week with people like, man, he's done an incredible. Joe Theismann came on first, and he was like, dude, this guy has done everything. He didn't use the word dude, but he said he has been amazing in what he's done for this state. And then you go home, and I'll get home around 7:45, 8, pack it in, kiss my daughter goodnight, and I turn on SportsCenter to watch game highlights that don't exist. And then I look at some of the things of, I can't believe all of these beaches. Look at that one beach in Naples that they opened and now it's closed. And then everybody has a different view. So I'm done with that. But when it comes down to opening up sports venues for our job, that's awesome. It's really cool. Roll Tide. But I have to say, pretty cool to hear that today, JP.
Well, I think it's a smart move on the state, for the state as well, because Arizona, their governor came out yesterday and said that pro sports can continue starting Saturday without fans, of course. So let's remember something, and we talked about this on Talk Football. Both of these states are where minor league baseball, grows every single year. It's where it starts. There's so many venues out there. So let's remember this. This is something that, push come to shove, for certain sports, there's opportunities. If you could turn some of these big minor league venues in Arizona and in Florida and turn them and play football in them if you needed to. This is worst case scenario. I'm just throwing this out there, but You can do that. Now, you've got these arenas. You can play NHL. You could play NBA. And the NBA, of course, coming out earlier and saying they got good news. Now, they asked the players if they would be okay with it, which we talked about yesterday. I don't understand that. But you know what? I get it. It's whatever. To each their own at this point. But for MLB, this is something where, you know what, could happen a lot sooner than what we thought. But, with Florida opening up, I think it's limitless now. I think that now that doesn't mean, of course, that people are going to pour into these games. The stadiums will be packed. No, that's not what he's talking about. He is saying that, you know what, we are open for business now, so let's talk business. Let's talk about getting the economy. That's one thing, and I won't bring the politics, into this. But economy side, we are going through probably the worst depression we've had ever when it's all said and done. It may be worse. Look, we're not going to recover from this in a couple months. This is probably going to take years to get back. We have to remember that. So, you know what? It's something. I see both sides of the story for people that are talking about, well, we don't need to open up because look at the numbers, look at the deaths. Okay, we have to come to the realization at some point where if we don't open up, what's going to happen to the world that we know right now? You know what? Are we just going to live in poverty and then we're going to have more deaths that aren't even related to COVID-19? You look at, and something I thought was interesting, just throwing this out there, talking about this. Nashville it's a tracker to find out where their hot spots are in their city. And now I love Nashville. It's a second home to me. They've had some outbursts, but they found out that downtown, where their homeless population is where the majority of their cases were. So it's interesting just throwing these facts out there when you see that the state of Tennessee has this amount of cases. When you look at the state of Florida, look at the state of Florida, and if you look at just the state, you go, what? Look at all those cases. until you break it down and find out that Miami and Broward and those counties right there, that's where it's coming from. So, when we talk about opening Arizona's going in the right direction. When we talk about opening Florida, people are like, well, look at down South Florida. It doesn't have to be just South Florida. There are other places where there aren't hot spots where we can safely do this. And you can argue, you can disagree, whatever you want to do. Those are facts. Those just are. Just because Miami is having a problem right now doesn't mean that Tampa, and I don't know Tampa's numbers off the top of my head, I don't, but just doesn't mean you couldn't go do stuff in Tampa. Doesn't mean you couldn't do stuff in Jacksonville. And like I said, I don't know. I'm not saying, because I don't know the hot spots right now in Florida. I do know, of course, South Florida, but what I am saying is Pensacola and these other places, Tallahassee. You could host events at these places. They have venues. We have venues here in Pensacola. We could do plenty of things. But that's what I'm trying to say in this. This is great news for Florida. This is great news on getting back, not just because of sports. Yes, we want sports. We're sports guys. If you're listening to this, you love sports just like we do. And that's what we are. We're just like everybody else when it comes down to it. We want to see sports, but I want to see people get back to normal as well. And part of this is, until we find out more about this, we had Bill Carr on, we just have to proceed with caution, and that's what we're doing right now. And in some places like Naples, because of what happened at Naples, people are talking about that's why all the beaches need to be closed. But yet I go out and I look at Gulf Shores and I look at Pensacola Beach and I look at Navarre Beach, and people are practicing social distancing. So don't crucify everybody because the bad behavior of somebody else. I mean, that's what it comes down to. So you know what? This is great news for Florida. This is the news we need right now. This is huge news because now all these people up north are looking. Look, the NFL has talked about possibly coming down for training camps and things like that. Imagine having these NFL training camps down here, what it would do for the state of Florida, what it would do for the state of Arizona. The NFL has talked about moving the California teams out of California to play their games because California basically said, you're not going to play them right now. Oregon, the state of Oregon has come out and said, you're not doing anything until after September. Well, they can move their games. Oregon could still play Ohio State. And of course, this is me being an Oregon fan, but you can move these games to other venues. That's the greatest part of all this. But for the state of Florida, this is look, bad things may happen from this, but right now, obviously, I trust, as much as a lot of people will scoff at this, I trust in what DeSantis is doing moving forward because you know what? If this backfires, he's gone. He understands the repercussions that come with this. So, you know what? Opening up the state of Florida, this is fantastic news. This is like Christmas morning right now.
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, for our job, it's huge to hear this news right here. Florida could soon be the hottest spot in the country for professional sports when the announcement was made today that the Sunshine State for all professional sports will resume activity. And this is something I posted a joke about. There was a beach in Jersey, and it didn't say Jersey Shore or anything like that. There was no Snooki. But what it said was it had a list, and it said what you can do at the beach and what you can't. And one of them, what you could do, was go ahead and surf. What you couldn't do, was prohibited with the big red mark, was swimming. So I made a joke that, hey, I hope, because I grew up in a surfing town in Sebastian Inlet right there, and I remember, joking around with the people, but we hung out in groups when we used to surf, and it was funny because I said, if you fall off that board, you got about 5 seconds before you're an outlaw right there because you'll be swimming. And that's how stupid it is, but it's also how ridiculous this is. And for here, I think we all need to understand that. We're coming back for more Sports Drive on ESPN Pensacola and Blab TV.
An auto policy from State Farm gets you collision coverage. And this radio ad from State Farm gets you coverage of this beloved 90s hit.
I hit a car. I hit a car, I hit a car. Ooh, baby. Ooh, baby. It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. My agent's gonna help me.
For more coverage, visit statefarm.com.
I'm Mina Kimes, host of ESPN Daily. Each morning, we bring you a deep dive into a single story from one of ESPN's hundreds of reporters. It's the best of ESPN Daily. ESPN Daily is presented by Marathon. Right now, you can get 5 cents off every gallon every day with Make It Count rewards from Marathon. It's quick and easy to join. Just download the free Make It Count app or go to makeitcount.com/radio and start saving today. Marathon, fueling the American spirit.
Man, last night we put on an epic light show.
So epic.
The crowd loved us.
Wait, there were only 4 people out there.
Yeah, but did you see their four faces? Their eyes lit up brighter than ours, and we're fireflies.
Yeah, we are!
And we're gonna be out here rocking out our light show at a forest near you, so come check us out!
Check us out!
Whether you're rocking their world or they're rocking yours, some memories never fade. Come alive with the forest. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a forest near you. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Spring is sprung and it's time for your favorite weekend activities. It all starts with a stop at Barnes Feed Store. Now's the time to get your hands dirty planting your favorite flowers and vegetables in the garden. What will you grow this year? Barnes Feed Store has been helping gardens grow better for generations. You'll sure have the best smelling backyard while grilling those burgers on your Big Green Egg. Now you can get the Big Green Egg and accessories at Barnes. Get your gardening, grilling, pet supplies, and so much more at Barnes Feed Store in Inslee on Old Palafox.
Hi, I'm Danica Patrick. Watching my nieces grow, play, and learn is amazing, but not every child gets to be carefree. 1 in 6 kids in the U.S. are hungry. This breaks my heart, and it's something that Feeding America is working to change. Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste and gives it to families in need. To help, visit feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Pensacola's own NFL Hall of Famer Emmitt Smith has some tips for us during this time.
This fight is up to all of us to try to help bend that curve. It's going to take teamwork. It's going to take us to stay committed, stay focused, and stay dedicated to the mission at hand, and that is to keep everyone safe. So be encouraging. Find some support. Find someone to talk to every day to encourage them to keep on continuing in this fight. And we will beat this pandemic.
The latest sports news is at ESPNpensacola.com and on Facebook at ESPN Pensacola. Plus, watch Chad Brilliante, Coach K, and Sports Call live on our exclusive YouTube channel, ESPN Pensacola 1330.
Talk football every day with Pensacola's own Coach K.
Credit a great performance by Garoppolo. And I love the way he throws the football. He's got all the things going for him.
Every weekday, noon till 1 on ESPN Pensacola 1330 FM 99.1.
The teams, the games, the fans, the local talk. This is ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
Army couldn't hold me back. They're gonna rip it off, taking their time right behind my back. And I'm talking to myself.
And welcome back, Sports Drive on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. Simulcast each and every day on Blab TV. 850-623-1330, the number to be part of the show. As you know, right now, good news out of the state of Florida. Florida, the first state really to open things back up that had been dealing with what's going on with the coronavirus. There's some states that are like, just going about our business. But I hope people understand this is real, and they've been taking it serious, and that they understand that this doesn't mean that you're going to see 5,000 pickup basketball games with full-out crowds like one of those movies with Samuel L. Jackson called Coach Carter. This is not going to happen that way. What's going to happen is you're going to have people getting back out into a football field, or they're going to have people on a golf course or a tennis court that they're 20 feet away, unless they're playing doubles, and they're going to get back to business, which a lot of people have been doing anyway. You know, we definitely live in a country that, let's just be real with this. This is like keeping it real moments more than ever on this show. But we live in a country, if you're for one side or the other, I'm going to throw out something random like politics. Let's just throw that out. That happens once in a while. But real quickly, if you're Obama or if you're Trump, they could do pretty much the same thing or say or misspell a word, but you'll make sure 50 people know that one word compared to never if he misspells a word. That happens in sports too. So let's just be real with it, that it doesn't mean everything's getting opened up. So be calm about this. They understand what they got under control. We got under control as well here on the Sports Drive.
This is ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM and 99.1 FM, the only local station that talks sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. From Gullick and Wingo to the Sports Drive with Chad Brillante. Plus talk football with Coach K at noon, sports call every Saturday. If you'd like to partner with us as an advertiser or a promotional partner, just give us a call at 262-6000.
You're listening to ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. All sports, all the time. WEBY, Milton, Pensacola.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
Coming up on the second hour of the Sports Drive, well, the state of Florida could soon be the hottest spot when it comes to professional sports, as the announcement made today, Governor Ron DeSantis announcing he plans to open up the Sunshine State to all professional sports. How about that?
Smith has just become the NFL's all-time leading rusher.
Across the middle, it is caught for the first. It's Baldwin shaking free and sprinting down the sideline for the touchdown. His third of the day. Doug Baldwin.
Derek Brooks, who ran back 3 interceptions for touchdowns in the regular season, does it to cement the Super Bowl.
Boxing's elite, the new WBA heavyweight champion of the world, Roy Jones Jr.
Baldwin beaten. The result has come up on screens that Gatlin's taken it. Goodness me, it was a blue American vest, 992 the Gatlin. 992 by the American champion to take gold.
Another Watson is wearing a green jacket at Augusta. And this time, his name is Bubba.
Scores on a 34-yard touchdown run by the Doak Walker Award winner, Trent Richardson, who broke a lot of Emmett Smith's records back in Pensacola, Florida.
And welcome back, Sports Drive on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM, home of your Pensacola Blue Wahoos when baseball gets rolling again, and then your UWF National Champion football Argos right there. And Brian Henry, I was talking to him through some texts, and Argy is now battling against Grand Canyon right there for a chance to win it all when it comes to the emoji, not the emojis, I want to use the right word here, Tokidachi. Tokyo-dachi right there, the mascot contest.
Glad you can
it is the national champion, Grand Canyon. And look, if anybody knows anything about Grand Canyon University, it's one of those that if you're sitting in the room with your family, like your whole family has emoji faces, meaning like you'd be like, your mom would be like, your dad sort of like, and your brother looks over with one of these like shocked faces that he wants to go there too. It is a privately owned college right there in the Grand Canyon. No shocker with the name.
The Lopes.
Oh, yeah. But it is ridiculous. If you just go ahead and YouTube videos of Grand Canyon University and the crowds and the way it rocks. Like, I mean, it's Dan Marley, Thunder Dan out there coaching their team. They got a good sporting events, but I mean, but the money and the revenue they have in it, it's one of those kind of things. Liberty and Grand Canyon are two places. First off, it sounds like some kind of like banks in town, but both of those colleges are two colleges that don't have the prestige of the names that everybody around the nation knows, but have boatloads of money and private funding. Like a ton. Like that guy that created that app that's pretty cool, or, you know, like most people didn't know, and whether you know or not, now knowing is half the battle, that lady that sold Spanx pretty much in Sarah Blakeney helped get Willie out of town, freed Willie from Tallahassee. Not too many people knew that. Like, wait, lady that sells leggings that make pictures on Facebook look better? and some guys have a couple drinks like, oh, look at that. I'm not getting involved in that. But what I say is, we never know who is going to be funding. Grand Canyon has a ton of those. Ton of people like Sarah Blakeney that help fund $1 billion organization like Spanx.
Yeah, forget them. Who cares? Losers.
Yeah.
They're losers.
Exactly.
Losers.
But they're about to take on UWF.
They're about to
Let's
lose.
go argue. Let's go argue right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're all on top of this right now. Okay?
Yeah.
Let's make this happen. Yeah. How many computers have you hacked into to make sure that we win this?
65. None.
Okay.
None.
Hey, listen. Like a polygraph, you immediately said, I know what 65 means. But looking at the getting back into what's going on right now this week with NASCAR and into it, where the level of excitement, NASCAR is a little bit different. What I mean by that is Korean baseball fans are like, hey, I'm glad somebody's throwing 90, Ben Lively from Gulf Breeze. We still get to see it. NASCAR, you don't get a lot of like an NBA basketball fan saying like, if he's not a fan of it, being like, I'm going to watch NASCAR. How many not, when we get back on air, be like, yeah, I'll watch one of those comments like, hey, have you paid all of our bills this month? Yeah, we got that. You're like, that did not sound confident. That kind of answer. Hey, are we going to be able to make it to this exit? It looks like we're getting pretty low on gas. I've seen that light up here. We're good. Are we? I'm Ron Burgundy, or are you Kramer from Seinfeld and that, like, we can do this off the exit? So pretty much what we do know is that NASCAR is coming back, but to me, it's a different group of fans because baseball, basketball, football are probably a core group. If I'm building a web, one of those crazy kind of outlier, those people that are psychologists and all have those huge maps with all these different bubbles going on. Baseball, basketball, and football fans, for the most part, I think will stay together. And why I didn't put hockey in there is hockey can be its own bird. You can have hockey. I've met hockey fans that just they walk into a room and they want to go to town. They're hockey fans. They're like, this is what we do. It's one of the four major sports, but hockey fans sometimes are different. You know what I'm saying? Like
you hockey fans, you're hockey fans.
Well, because it's also a sport that half of it is fans from not only up north, but in Canada. I mean, a lot of the hockey fans. Perfect example, Greg Harris. Greg's a friend of ours, but if I'm like, Greg, are you catching the Rockets and Lakers tonight? He'd be like, no.
Those aren't hockey teams.
Exactly. Yeah. But if you told a guy on the offseason of football that's a Houston Texans fan, hey, did you watch Harden drop 35 last night? Good chance you're going to get like, yeah, man, what a game. I don't need to like explain all this.
You went into this, so that's why I'm just playing
I'm
the game.
saying that for the most part, football, basketball, and baseball, mainly football and basketball. I mean, football and baseball are a core. Basketball, you can have basketball fans and nobody else that just watch basketball, but mainly the core, and then hockey fans and nobody else. But NASCAR is on its own. It's a different path. Like you can be a NASCAR fan and not watch any of the other sports. You could be a fan of football or basketball and not watch NASCAR. So I'm very interested. Why I'm saying all of this and why this makes if we had sports going on, this would have been the most ridiculous conversation in the last 2 minutes I've ever. Which some people are probably saying, yeah, this is ridiculous. But what I'm saying is we have NASCAR coming back, and people want to watch sports. Korean baseball had millions of views. KBO League. Will NASCAR get that audience from the outside perspective that are probably lying if they say, yeah, sports are back, but I'm going to watch it? Are they really going to watch NASCAR? That's because baseball's baseball. We watch KBO, but it looks exactly like if the Yankees and Red Sox are playing with just different names, different jerseys, and maybe a couple guys that are a little bulkier with protein shakes. On the other side, NASCAR is a completely different breed from some of these people that are going a different path. I think it's a fair statement, and are a lot of people going to sit down and spend 2 to 3 hours of this weekend watching the sport?
Yes. I think it's I mean, NASCAR has everything that you could want in a sport that outside of, even contact, when you talk about wrecks and things like this. Look, it doesn't, and for, generally speaking, no. Because NASCAR is its own breed. Now, a lot of people down here in the South, of course, even from, college football and NASCAR fans in the South and the SEC, yeah, tons of NASCAR fans. Mm-hmm. And it's more popular than what people think. But NASCAR isn't the sexy sport. NASCAR isn't the unbelievable moneymaker that people want, they want to look at. That's why NASCAR, to me, is not promoted in the same way. Are you kidding me? Go to these races. These people, go to it. Anybody that wants to naysay about NASCAR, please go to Talladega. Go to Bristol Motor Speedway. Go to Charlotte Motor Speedway. Go to Texas. Go to Sonoma. These places pack out, and not just the day of the race. They pack out a week before.
Oh, it's a venue.
Like it's
a venue,
unbelievable.
Yeah.
And, they're racing at Darlington this weekend. They got a bunch of races coming up. And you know what?
They will not be packing out, though, folks.
No, they won't. But it's, you know what? There will be eyeballs on there because these cars go extremely fast. And I think, as bad as I hate to say it, the Ryan Newman wreck enhances the crowd because of the danger that it brings. It's not just, well, left turn, left turn, left turn. Anybody that's been, listen, go to Five Flag Speedway. Once you go out there, I brought Autumn out there for her first race a couple years ago. Once we went out there, the very first race.
I got to make a call for Friday, by the way.
You do. But an hour into this, she goes, I was like, oh, you interested in this? Like, is this, you want to go? She goes, heck no. She sat there, and we sat through, all the caution flags, everything like that. It's just intoxicating.
We're still talking NASCAR?
Yeah,
Okay.
But it's intoxicating. Anybody that's ever been there, and if you've never been to a NASCAR race, then don't knock it. That's like for me to knock a UFC fight. I've never been to a UFC fight. Looks fun, but am I interested in UFC? Not necessarily. I will if it's on, just because I'm a sports fan. A sports fan will watch anything. Let's make that very clear. Talking about like KBO baseball or even, a guy lifting weights, whatever it is.
Or a monkey playing ping pong.
Well, I think that's just you, but that's different. But unless you're in Russia, I guess.
Chip owes me $75.
But it's something where NASCAR people, there'll be eyeballs on it just because, you know what? It's interesting seeing people come back. These cars go fast. People love it. It's exhilarating. Turn the volume up on your TV. I love it. I just love the sound. I love, going to, like I said, Five Flags. Yeah, having the smell. Going to Talladega for the first time ever is something I will always remember, and I want to go back. Now, there are some nutty people out there, to say the very least, and I'm trying to be very nice about this. But it's NASCAR. You know what? More people are fans of NASCAR, whether they want to admit it or not, just because, think about it. People love things that go fast. Everybody loves, especially, guys, you talk about having the big truck or whatever it is, or the fast car. You want to soup this up. You want to do this. NASCAR has a little bit of everything in it, and that's why I think, it's a lot more popular. Now, is it comparing to NFL? Heck, no. Is it comparing to NBA? No, I'm not trying to say that. But it is extremely more popular than what people believe.
Speaking of, I got a text today about the British Open. Why is it not? I see all this, the list of golf, and why is the British Open not playing? I was like, okay, this is probably more for somebody like Morgan Freeman to explain, to calm you down, but British Open has been taking out pandemic insurance at $2 million a pop.
Not this again.
No, I'm not getting deep into this. I'm answering a question for people to know because it's going to be brought up. Like all the other majors are ready to go in golf. And back in March when this all went down, they had spent $2 million on pandemic insurance, which who knows, like gas leaks or, the whole world getting nuclear bombed by somebody in North Korea probably.
So like Wimbledon.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. So these people are taken out, and nobody knew it. I didn't follow that. We've been working in broadcasting for a long time. $34 million. If they would have stopped back in like January and told people about this, somebody would be like, this guy's nuts. Let's get this guy in like a bomb shelter himself. Lock him up, one of those doomsday prepper shows. $34 million. Well, this all happens, and he got $205 million. So they made $170 million off of this over 17 years. Was it a guarantee? No. They played the odds and hit green on roulette. But at the same time, they hit it, and that's why there's no British Open. They made that announcement. The other ones are going to be starting back up in July and going through. Season's coming right around the corner. Like, golf is not one of those sports. My brother works with the Golf Channel that people are saying we can't get in. It's golf. I've played it already a few times where you can social distance with the best. And I got a really good angle on a tee shot I hit that looked awesome. It was actually a really good tee shot. I was like, it's about $295. But it was the one that I got on videotape. It just so happened. And I'm like showing off. I'm like, hey, you see this right here? I'm like, man, you're doing well. I'm like, you didn't see hole 7, did you? Right now, getting golf back is it's pretty much the epitome of a sport that would make sense during this time. I mean, everything that social distancing, getting outdoors, vitamin C, being able to, this is it. And golf, to me, is going to come back here soon, and I think it's one that's going to thrive based on that. Now, the caddy going to whisper in the ear might get pushed over by the bunker. He's like, I think you should go with the 68 wedge right here. Go ahead and get 63 and just push. Get out of my way. All of a sudden, like a rabbit fight right there. But guy goes to shake hands or hugs at the end of it and gets mauled or kicked where the sun don't shine. Imagine that moment. Like, he makes the putt for the game. Guy goes to give him a hug. He starts bashing him. Get away, man. He takes the club, putter to keep him away right there, social distancing. Like, it's
getting out of
handshake on a hole-in-one. Hole-in-one, you grab the club. Who's going to come at me right here? Like, aren't you supposed to be celebrating? And on that note, we're going to go ahead and take a break. When we come back, there we go. There's where we're going. When we come back, we're going to get to more on some college football. That's right. Over-unders as we forget it. We're coming back for more. Sports Drive on ESPN Pensacola and Blab TV.
Hello, sports fans. Miles Bentley here, General Manager at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Pensacola. Growing up, I always loved sports. Nothing but net, out of the park, through the uprights. Sink the puck Bentley, that was me. But my love of the game couldn't beat my love for Pensacola and helping folks get on the road of dreams in a new Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Sure, I never went to the big leagues in sport, but we're all pro here at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Proud to be in Pensacola.
JP here. At ESPN Pensacola, we are hometown proud. We love our hometown heroes like Super Bowl champion Seattle Seahawk Doug Baldwin.
They fake, the lob, wide open, touchdown, Doug Baldwin.
Bigger body than Wilson likes to throw to. Big target. Here's Baldwin, smaller target, and he ducks in for the touchdown.
Hi, this is Doug Baldwin, and you're listening to ESPN Pensacola.
For your ESPN Pensacola Ridiculous Facts, I'm JP. 2 days out of 365 days a year feature no professional sports games, the day before and the day after the MLB All-Star break. Remember when a day without sports seemed like forever? And because they both lost so many players to World War II military service, the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Philadelphia Eagles combined to become the Steagles during the 1943 season. That has got to be the most American thing I've ever heard in my life. Rest in peace, Steagles. And for your ESPN Pensacola Ridiculous Facts, I'm JP.
Welcome to Bo! Okay, hi, what are we doing today?
I need something that screams something fun. Nothing too on the face, nothing too off the face, but also totally hot.
So I have the perfect thing. It's the most food mullet. You're totally business in the front, but tailgate in the back. It's a fat party. People are having fun. You know, snap. All your friends are going to be like, whoa, awesome setup. Everyone else is going to be all jelly, okay?
Just like a killer mullet, Moe's Catering will turn the back of your ride into a tailgate party that's sure to turn some heads. Just order ahead and pick it up on your way.
Moe's Southwest Grill, now open in Pace on Highway 90 next to Publix grocery store.
Hear ye, hear ye. I bringeth thee a message from... a message from the king and his new trumpeter, Stephen. The king wishes me to convey his favor to thine team and thine tailgate. Not yet. He invites thee to let the Bud Light flow forth. And he also wishes me to tell thee that he toasts thee. Waiteth until the end, Stephen! With game day's favorite light lager and the slogan of his kingdom... Oh, dilly dilly. Enjoy responsibly. Bud Light Beer, AB, St. Louis, Missouri.
Hi, I'm Matt Kenseth. You don't have to be a race car driver to know that life can be full of drama. Some of it you can't control, like mechanical issues, high winds, and rain delays. But there's some drama you can skip.
Skip the drama that comes with not having your high school diploma or equivalency. Find free adult education classes near you and finish your diploma. Visit finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org.
You just need to take that first step and find free classes near you and leave the drama for the racetrack.
Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ed Council.
There's only one name in town when it comes to afternoon local sports talk. The Sports Drive with Chad Brilliante.
Some athletes don't want to be given... nobody does. No, look, when you play with your pops as it gets older, one of the most embarrassing things, my daughter's 3, I just slam it right in her face right at the play school hoop. Like right there, like I'm Zion Williamson.
The games, the players, the fans. ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. We do sports, and that's all we do. We're your hometown sports station. ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
welcome back. Sports Drive on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. Don't dislike these songs. I'm just always worried that the next word is going to be when I go, hey, let's speak a little louder.
I got you.
You know what I'm saying.
We're clean.
Taking a look here at some of the over-under win totals. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. Boise State and Florida State will play. That's going to be an awkward-looking game just based on that. It's very rare that a team of Florida State's caliber will go up to the mountains, get a nice set.
That's what they said last year.
Hey, I know. Well, last year was, I mean, that was bad. But that, to me,
our team wasn't in shape. But the team
I know,
from Idaho
but
was.
The team of guys coming. I know that was. I mean, the excuses that rolled off there, and I get that. Florida State was losing games because of coaching. That's the thing in our job is
saying it nicely.
It's not fair to judge what Dabo Swinney has at Clemson compared to Eli Drinkowitz. Eli Drinkowitz, he could be one of the best coaches in all of college football right now. He just took App State and walked into South Carolina and beat them. He just walked into places like – you don't give me that face. But I'm just saying, like, hey, listen. But he walked
a better
into –
team.
Okay, all right. You know what? For App State, it's a big win.
Hold on. I'm going to look at their schedule.
Pull up App State. Don't play games here.
That's what we do here.
They were 13-1 last year, though. So
– Right.
Okay. Well, let's compare it like what we talk about with Pete Shinnick. Pete Shinnick is a great coach just because he has –
They walked in to UNC and beat North Carolina on the upset.
No, I'd rather take South Carolina.
UNC's a better team than South Carolina.
Hold on. No, they're not.
Hold on,
No, they're not. No, they're not.
Bull.
Didn't they beat South Carolina last year, though? Straight up? It was close, yeah.
Charlotte.
I don't think that's true, though. Listen.
East Tennessee State.
Listen.
Any of these teams are better than South Carolina.
How many players? Javon Kinlaw, there's players out there for – nobody in App State looks like Javon Kinlaw.
Just because one player doesn't mean the team
They had more than one. They had receivers going to the NFL draft. Well, type how many South Carolina guys.
Okay, how'd their season turn out?
They have Will Muschamp. See, they have the reverse. Okay, here's a perfect example. Here's a good example.
Give me
though.
A better example. Georgia Southern beat Tennessee.
No. First off, what has happened in this conversation, I want to make this clear for everybody out there listening. I am not saying Eli Drinkowitz is one of the top coaches in all of college football at all. But what I'm saying is the competition levels that you play doesn't always represent what kind of coach you are. If you put Drinkowitz on South Carolina and you put Muschamp with App State, how do you like me now? How do you like that game now? What are we thinking? What are we thinking in that situation?
What'd you say?
I'm
looking at their schedules right here.
If Drinkowitz was with South Carolina and Muschamp was the coach at App State, who wins that game?
I have no idea. I can't imagine Muschamp being.
I have no. I don't know.
I mean, it's
Muschamp has got photos of somebody to still have his job right now. They were 4-8 last year, weren't they? 5-7 maybe. I don't know. I think it was 4-8.
Wasn't good.
Even people look. Remember, this is the guy that went 4-8 at Florida and lost to Georgia Southern.
My point was solely not to negate App State. What I was saying is, you could have chosen just about anybody else on that schedule, and it would have been a better team than South Carolina. That's why I was not.
No, I disagree with that. App State was playing teams like Clown Boots U. They played some teams that but in reality,
my point being,
they were beating
you're going entirely too much into this. My point being, South Carolina sucks.
No, I disagree that I picked a team.
South Carolina does not suck.
That was a huge win for App State. A ridiculous ending,
I'm not saying
by the way.
it wasn't. What I'm saying is, you're not understanding where I'm going with this. I'm trying to spell
I don't
this
think
out.
South Carolina was horrible. They took Florida down to the wire in the final minutes, and Florida's a legit team last year. South Carolina had a legit roster. They beat Georgia last year. They beat Georgia straight up.
So was Syracuse one of the top teams when they almost beat Clemson?
I understand.
That year? That's your logic. That's what I'm saying. So was Syracuse one of the top teams?
South Carolina.
When they almost beat Clemson when they won a national title?
They went 4-8. South Carolina actually proves the point to this discussion. The discussion has gotten to South Carolina App State.
Syracuse is good.
South Carolina App State have got into this discussion.
No, they're not.
Somebody listening goes, why are these two teams in this discussion in Pensacola? The point of it was that South Carolina is a better football team than their coach gives them, and App State was probably a worse team than what their coach made them better for. And that's the same thing for a lot of teams when you talk about guys. Just because you could take over a roster. Larry Coker is hideous as a coach. I'm sorry. If he's listening right now, He's out there like relaxing on the beach, and he's like, "Who is this guy?" Like, sorry, Larry, I apologize. But I've been at a game when you coached Miami. He took over for Butch Davis. Remember Nevin Shapiro Boats, and took over for that 2001 all these Canes team, and he won a national title. Larry Coker won a national title. Larry Coker's a bad football coach when it comes to college football, and he goes to University of Texas San Antonio and goes like 2-10 every year and gets booted out. Gene Chizik won a national title at Auburn. Sometimes just winning a national title with a prestigious school doesn't make you a great coach. And we need to understand that for this situation because it's important to look at those numbers. So, yeah, Florida State was a team that if you had a good coach, a decent coach, they had a roster last year that could have been tons better. They lost games like Boise State when they had leads of 17 points. 17 points in the second half, and they lost those games. Sound like Dennis Green. And they let him off the hook. You want to crown him? 17-point lead against Boise State, and they lost. They were up against almost everybody they played at halftime, and they continued. That's bad coaching, not motivating your guys at halftime. Doing the opposite. So the point was about throwing more at Willie Taggart than we've already done on this show, and instead it turned into our argument on South Carolina versus App State. So let's go back to what we were both planning on doing and saying Willie Taggart screwed over a lot of Florida State fans. Can we agree on that? Can we end it with that? Can we agree with that?
Yeah, BYU was really good too.
Taysom Hill, brother.
Georgia State.
Taysom Hill, Steve Young, Ty Detmer.
Taking down Tennessee.
What a horrible ending to that BYU-Hawaii game. Did you see that in the bowl game? Did you see that this year?
I don't think so.
Not that was on a lot of people's radar. People were driving like, no, we did not watch that. But Hawaii played in the Sheridan Hawaii Bowl, as they usually do. They were down like 15. I think they were down, 21 points with like 3 minutes left and beat BYU.
This year?
It's a crazy football game. But, yeah, they won.
That was this year?
2019 December. It was this year's.
No, I'm asking. Did it happen?
There's no football this year, literally, but it was the end of December. Yes, like New Year's, Christmas.
That was the question. Yes.
Okay, no, it was
I didn't
not
know if this was like
only games played in 2020 were national title and the down the road Dollar General Bowl.
I'm asking, was this like a 2018, 2017?
No, it was this year. Yeah.
Okay, that was what I was asking. And
your man, isn't that your quarterback, McDonald?
Who?
Cole McDonald? I think
he's
a tight. No, he's not your guy.
He is, but he's not my guy.
You need to root him on, man.
No,
the pride
I'm not.
right there.
Will not.
I don't like that guy that much. He looks like the kind of guy that wears the double Letterman jacket with the two girls.
I'd have a beer with
Which
him.
one? Hey, Cole, which one's your girlfriend? Do I have to pick, brah? I can see him saying that. He could be a really nice guy, does charity work. I have no clue. Right? Let's take a look here at some of the teams over-unders right now. All right, starting off with Alabama. Over-under 11 wins. 10.5. 10.5 wins.
Over.
Okay. Going on to our next team here with the Auburn Tigers. Over-under 9 wins.
Under.
That was quick.
Yeah, they lost their
I hope
top
your
rusher.
girl. I hope Autumn's not listening right now.
That's fine. She
not
understands. Nice. I've given her her family. I mean, the opinion on this. They feel the same way I do. They're
Brittany, if you're listening, I do nothing but claim titles with you on LSU. So I want to say that as an LSU alumni,
he's not claiming with you.
He
claiming them.
I do.
And then says, oh well, she's a fan too.
When we get married, it's part of the family right there.
That's not what you said.
Purple and gold, baby. Go Tigers. Go Tigers. Champions. I'm a champion right now. Let's make this happen. All right, next team right here. Going through Clemson, over-under 11.5 wins.
Over.
A lot of pride there in the ACC to have them at 11.5 wins at -172. They pretty much are like trying everything you can at -170 be like, well, if they lose one game this year, I get like almost twice my money back right there. No. Nobody's beating them in the ACC. It's just – you got Trevor Lawrence coming back. So, all right, huge one right here. Florida Gators, over 9.5 wins.
Over. I think they'll win the East.
10-2 though in the SEC is not like, I agree with you, though. To this point, I'm agreeing.
They'll play Alabama in the SEC championship.
Bold move, Cotton. Florida State over/under 7.5 wins after a 6-7 season. They got hermed out there in the Sun Bowl.
You know what? I believe there's enough talent out there that they could possibly get 8 wins in the ACC.
I'm taking the over.
Yeah,
I believe Mike Norvell is good enough to be the second. Florida State's got
there's 10 wins.
Can we agree they have the second best talent in the ACC? I would say. Even last year, I watched too many games when they played against Virginia. I agree.
I'll disagree.
Okay. All right. I think the next best roster-wise, and I think this is fair to say, well, the way they looked against Miami too, it's tough to. I'm trying to hype them up. I'm trying to be the pep rally guy here, and then I'm just like going down memory lane of some really crappy moments when they got slaughtered by Miami at home. So I do believe they have more talent. They're getting Cam Akers. I mean, that's hard. He was the guy. He was their savior on offense, even in the games they lost. I'm trying to believe in this more than the actual reality of things, but there are some games where they lost, though, where you're looking at like Wake Forest games or games against when they played against like the matchup when they lost straight up at home in a game where they should have beat a Virginia Tech or these kind of games. They're better rosters, I believe. But yeah, that's now that I revert back over. I'm just going to go with over/under 7.5 wins. I'll go with over. I'm going to believe in Mike Norvell to go 8-4. That was very confident.
I mean, I love the talent they have there.
Bob Stoops, baby. Let's just
I mean, you still have schools that people. You know what? This is exactly where he wants to be.
Who, Bob Stoops?
No, Mac Brown in North Carolina. Look at it. Look at what he's done.
Do you think if Bob Stoops had a crystal ball that he'd be at Florida State right now? Now that we know.
Leaving that one alone. Not touching that one. I just think, look, North Carolina is going to be a lot better than what people think. I think they win the Coastal. I don't think it's really close. Look, Virginia is not going to be Virginia like what they had the season they had this year. Virginia Tech will be tough because they're always tough. But I mean, Miami, I don't think this year. Miami will be better. We forget De'Aaron King, the quarterback situation.
It can't be much worse.
Well, De'Aaron King is the real deal. This guy is really good. And so think about their quarterback situation they've had in the past. It's been atrocious. It's been, all right, let's you go in there and get some reps. All right, now your turn to go in there and get some reps. All right, anybody else? Can anybody play quarterback? All right, wait, you're a fan. Yeah, get him a helmet. Let's go. Get him in the game. That's the way it's been for Miami lately, and they have a solid. Look, this guy was in the running for Heisman, his first year at Houston, and then he set out. And I think Miami will be a lot better, but I still think the team to look out for is North Carolina. Now, Florida State for them, good luck because Louisville's getting better. Outside of Louisville, I don't think you have a problem other than Clemson. And
Miami's got a good schedule set up. They're over under very good schedule. They're over under set at 9, and this is a 6-7 team last year that got shut out and blanked by a team in Louisiana Tech in the bowl game. Manny Diaz is the kind of guy that needs to prove though that he's a head coach. There's a lot of guys in college football and in the NFL that are good at coordinators. It's a completely different breed. When you're a head coach, you take on all the business. You make those 4th down and 1 calls, the fake punts where we joke about, did Kirby Smart really have Justin Fields run 11 yards? Like, was he trying to pick that up? Like, you put all of either the blame or the success on your shoulders. And when they win, when Bill Belichick wins, nobody talks about Romeo Crennel or talks about Josh McDaniels or talks about guys like Joe Judge that get hired by the Giants or Matt Patricia looks like a homeless caddy from Happy Gilmore. It's because it all goes down on the coach. That's what happens in sports. We work with a head coach in the NFL, Kay Stevenson, who's been here. It goes all of it goes on the coach. We talk about at UWF when that play happened when they're already up a bunch. I think was it 14-0 or 21-0 at that time when they decided to at their 1-yard line go 99 yards before halftime. I think it was already a 17-0. It's like 17-0 or so already. You have a 17-0 lead in the national title, and you have 48 seconds, I believe, left at your own 1-yard line. 48 seconds, own 1-yard line, and they throw like 4 Hail Mary passes and get a touchdown. And we sat there and JP and I are sitting there. We're at World of Beer, and we're hugging each other, hugging fans. I mean, we're like, this is happening right now. This is awesome. We're about to win a national title. Well, Pete Shinnick gets the credit. We're like, we love Pete. We love him. You know, Caleb Nobles is the one that went to Pete. Then we have Pete on the show. And Coach Shinnick's like, yeah, you know, I believe that we always have confidence in our receivers and Randolph and Lateo and all these guys. But then you have Caleb that came up to me and was like, we got this. And Caleb Nobles is the one that told him, let's do this. And they did it. But at the time, we're hugging going like, Shinnick, you know, like screaming. But that's what happens. So Manny Diaz, what we're realizing is, so far he's proven he's not a head coach, but he's a coordinator. There's a lot of guys. Will Muschamp was a heck of a defensive coordinator. Texas, LSU, bad head coach. In the NFL, Marvin Lewis, great defensive coordinator when he was at Baltimore. Ray Lewis, he was part of those ridiculous defenses back in the day. Goes to Cincinnati. Think about it. The team made the playoffs 7 times, 0 wins in 7 playoff times. 7 different years they made the playoffs and never got a win, even on like a botched kick or anything. He wasn't clutch as a head coach to make those decisions in the confident moment. Instead, his team ran on the field and started punching Joey Porter. That's the kind of stuff that I think we need to realize with Diaz is he has a lot to prove as a head coach. And right now, if I'm Miami, the confidence level is not there.
Well,
it did not look good last year.
They lost. Well, you know, they went 6-7, and you say that they didn't look good.
They had every chance to beat Florida that first week and make a huge statement.
Well, but also, Miami was not supposed to be competing with Florida. Let's call real.
4 straight passes to the end zone to win, though.
Regardless,
that's on the coach to make some innovative moves.
Well, okay, you can always throw it on the coach, but at some point the players have to make plays. Let's look. I mean, you know, what I will say for Miami is they were with less than a touchdown 5 times instead of their 7 losses. They were within less than a touchdown. Now, you can say that's coaching. You can say whatever you want. Regardless, they didn't get it done. And
please start naming the teams they lost to, though.
Well, I will in a minute.
Okay.
But you're saying for Florida, they weren't even supposed to be in that ball game when that's all said and done. Look what Florida did, and they had a chance to beat them. Yes, they did have a chance to beat them. And you're saying, you know, with coaching, that's why I hesitate.
That was just a horrible football
game. Manny Diaz, let's call this what it is with Miami. Manny Diaz was in a horrible situation. Miami is not the job it used to be. That is not like, you know, with all the recruits that are coming out of there.
Tate Martell taking Instagram shots. You had a kicker that had tats on his neck. I disagree with those.
Well, regardless, Miami is not what
DJ Dallas. That sounds
Miami.
like an old '70s show. DJ Dallas.
This is something where, you know, Manny Diaz takes a lot of flack for it, but let's give Manny Diaz some time. Him bringing this team, because this is a lot like the Florida State situation. You know, when I look at, do you think Manny Diaz or Willie Taggart's a better coach?
I mean,
same situation, pretty much same records when you look at what they did. I'll go Manny Diaz.
You want to eat a can of raw dog food or cat food right now?
Because the other thing is Manny Diaz was not in a very good situation. He's in a program that they're trying to rebuild.
I would definitely take Manny Diaz over Willie Taggart.
Willie Taggart's in a hotbed and in an organization that is trying to, we'll do whatever you need, Willie. Let's do this. Let's get this going. We got guys that want to be here, and you've got some talented guys there, like you were talking about on their roster. There's some talent there, but they're the worst penalized team. They're the worst offensive line in college football. They've got off-the-field problems. There's a smorgasbord of things that come down to coaching. Off the field and things like that comes down to coaching in a lot of things.
I lose a lot of respect, though, for Miami for allowing a coach like Dan Enos to go back out on the football field against Louisiana Tech when he'd already pretty much been fired. They told him he's out, and they let him coach the game, and they put up a goose egg. And I watched that game. I actually went down the road to Santino's. I was grabbing a sandwich and getting my hair cut when it was essential. And I was right there in the shopping center right down the road, and I'm sitting there eating one of those awesome grinders, and I'm sitting there watching that game. And I remember watching this, and I'm like, what are these play calls? Like, what's going on right now? Like, it was 3rd down and 9, and they would do this, like, where they do, like, a fake and then a quick handoff to a fullback guy that would rumble into the lane for, like, a 3-yard gain and punt. And I'm like, you guys are going home. What do you do? But I know that – but Diaz was over there – like looking over, and you're like, you're the coach, man. You got to – I don't think the first move he made when he got there was fire the entire offense from the year before. He just seems like some guys – you got to believe in a coach. Like Pete Shinnick could feel like everybody's got his back regardless. I don't know that. I'm not there, and I'm not going to sit here and act like I know everything about it because it's unfair to judge somebody based on just what you read in the media or just what you see on a couple hours because I didn't watch every Miami game. So I'm not going to act like I know Manny Diaz as a head coach. I don't. I know what I've read, and that's not fair. But what I've seen has not been good. And he actually has some upside, though, to him where Willie Taggart, just let him hang out there in Boca underneath the sun. Willie's shown enough over 2.5 years where he had more lives than cats. He had every shot, and he didn't prove it. I mean, Manny, for them to come out with over under 9 wins, think about it this: Miami right now, after a 6-7 season and getting shut out by Louisiana Tech, has the same over under in college football as LSU, who went 15-0, had the best season in college football. So that shows a lot. And Vegas doesn't play games. They're not going to throw that out there for no reason. So that's a respect factor that I'll take, even if they're completely clowning us. They know more than right now that Miami's going to come back with a good year. We got to take a break. We'll come back for more. It's a Sports Drive on ESPN Pensacola, Blab TV.
What'd you do this time, Brad?
I'm in the doghouse after my hunting trip last weekend.
Yeah, I was too. I blew off our date.
How'd you get out of the doghouse?
Stillwater's Day in Medical Spa. I got her a gift card. It took 3 minutes at swmedspa.com. She booked it this Saturday.
Saturday? So 9 holes then?
Tee time's at 8.
To enjoy a hassle-free guys weekend, treat her to a gift card from Stillwater's Day in Medical Spa. Follow Stillwater's on Facebook or Instagram to enter contests and win great prizes. Or visit swmedspa.com.
It is the veteran, not the preacher, who has given us the freedom of religion.
It's the veteran, not the politician, who has given us the right to vote.
It's the veteran, not the poet, who has given us the freedom of speech.
The veteran, not the campus organizer, who has given us the freedom to assemble.
It is the veteran, not the reporter, who has given us freedom of the press.
It is the veteran, not the lawyer, who has given us the right to a fair trial.
We should all be very proud of our young men and women in the service, no matter where they serve. Thank you.
If you're craving real, authentic Mexican food, then head out to Pensacola Beach to La Playita on the sound side across from the Hilton. La Playita serves $2 margaritas all day, every day. Try their specialty, pineapple fajitas for 2, with steak, chicken, shrimp, and vegetables grilled, served in a pineapple half. Live entertainment on Friday nights and karaoke with Becky on Saturday nights. It's always a fiesta at La Playita on Pensacola Beach for real, authentic Mexican food.
Cheers!
Here are the ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM 99.1 FM contest rules. You can win 1 prize per household per contest in any 30-day period, unless specified by individual contest rules. All prizes are non-transferable, non-redeemable for cash, or exchangeable for any other contest prize. Prizes must be redeemed within a 30-day period of winning and must be 18 years of age or older to win. For a complete list of rules, visit ESPNpensacola.com.
Hello, sports fans. Miles Bentley here, General Manager at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Pensacola. Growing up, I always loved sports. Nothing but net, out of the park, through the uprights. Sink the puck, Bentley. That was me. But my love of the game couldn't beat my love for Pensacola and helping folks get on the road of dreams in a new Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Sure, I never went to the big leagues in sport, but we're all pro here at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Proud to be in Pensacola.
Football season never ends on Talk Football with Coach K.
Stidham is tearing it up at New England. He may well be the incumbent to Tom Brady there.
Former head coach of the Buffalo Bills, Coach K brings his expertise as he breaks down the game, the players, the coaches, and the front office. Plus, high-profile interviews from the biggest names in football. Talk Football with Coach K every weekday from noon till 1 on ESPN Pensacola 1330 FM 99.1.
You can watch Chad on the Sports Drive live right now on our YouTube channel at ESPN Pensacola 1330.
Can you blow my whistle, baby, let me know. Girl, I'm gonna show you how to do it, and we start real slow. You just put your lips together and you come real close. Can you blow my whistle, baby?
Nope. Will not. Unless you're 6 feet away, I'm not touching that.
I'll do it.
That's all right. Song's not representing what Dr. Fauci would say. I don't think. You can see his face with the Dikembe Mutombo finger. No. The Kevin Mutombo meme needs to come back for a lot of this.
You would kiss Fauci from 6 feet.
No,
I got you.
No.
Once, so all right.
No,
Jay,
I'm saying, would you let some? No, you can see.
Have fun.
I
It's
didn't say any of that, by the way. Either.
That's fine. That's what I got out of that. So you know what?
No.
Hey, I'm proud of you. At least
even if I was born a woman. Sorry, Caitlin. I was born and I had a night
right there.
with somebody like Kenny Chesney at a local bar, a private island in the middle of Belize, and he was singing, and I had a bottle of tequila, and once again, I was a woman,
Lies,
and I was there. I still
decisions.
would be running down the beach from Dr. Fauci. I just want to make that clear from what it is.
Tequila.
He might prescribe me with a bad case of leaving him high and dry. But let's look at Cam Newton from that note right there, which, speaking of women's attire, but no, Cam Newton right now, what do you think is going to happen to Mary Poppins? At this point, do you believe that Cam is going to start in the NFL this year? Cash it or smash it?
Cash it. Yes.
Okay. When you say, if you would have said smash it, we could have moved on to our next. But now that you said cash it, who? Now you have to answer that question. This is like when you fill out a doctor's form when you say, do you have allergies? And you click if you check the yes, then you have to say pollen, dander. Now you have to actually answer that question. Okay.
I'll let them think.
Right,
I'll let them try to figure it out. No, I don't know. and I think what's going to happen is he is going to wait until there's an injury.
Yeah.
And he is absolutely needed. And
that's a horrible way to live life.
Well,
if you've got on the mic and we're like, I'm going to just wait for one of these quarterbacks to go down, Joe Theismann style, just
on
snap
his
their
part,
leg.
it's actually smart. You don't, because think about it. If one of these big teams, their quarterback situation, and I'll just throw this out there, just hypothetical. Not
sorry to say
happen,
that to Joe, by the way, if you're watching.
But say Tom Brady goes down.
Yeah.
Everything that they went and did this offseason is for naught. Think about that. All the getting the guys, getting weapons, bringing Gronkowski back, all this other stuff. It's all for naught. So you got Blaine Gabbert back there, which I don't believe that's his backup. Blaine Gabbert's his backup, and buddy, I'm here to tell you,
it's a big Titans quarterback.
He was. He was
something.
Unfortunately, he was something, and that's
probably
good.
One of the best Southern lines right there, because you have no clue where they're going with it, but he was something.
But
he was something, boys.
Let's just say that Tom Brady goes down, and let's just say that the Bucs are 6-0 or 5-1 or whatever. You gotta go get a quarterback. Say Brady's out for. Maybe he's out for the year.
Is that what it's come to with Cam Newton though? Is that he's like the remora fish sucking onto the shark in case they get food?
Genius business
waiting
move.
For the bait and then.
Because he's not going to get a big time deal right now with anybody. So his best move is, you know what? I'll wait until somebody is going to need my services, and when they do, they're going to have to pay to get him. You're going to have to pay to get Cam Newton.
You have to pay for those services.
And a team, think about this, a team that is not in the playoff hunt is not going to pay Cam Newton. They're not going to go, we're already in the play. We're trying, you know what? Worst case scenario, we get Trevor Lawrence next year, regardless of your quarterback situation. What I'm saying is,
gosh, if France had a football league, he would so star.
A big playoff team that is in the hunt will go get him. Just think about this for a minute.
So that's what he's gonna come in and be Nick Foles. Well, what I mean at Philadelphia, like he's gonna wait. He's gonna play the card of sitting back there, like. I'm thinking like Professor Claw from Inspector Gadget and be like, and then the one guy that's like, oh, that was nasty right there. And then he's like, 9-2 record, my turn to shine. And he comes right in for the victory.
I mean,
Carson Newman that year.
Carson Wentz.
No, I was about to say Carson Newman when they played against, UWF that year. And then I was going to go into Carson Wentz. But thank you. I know. You were laughing. You already knew I was going down.
I know.
I was trying to completely bait, but I couldn't even go down that path because we weren't on it. But Carson Newman, man, what a big game against UWF. Then Carson Wentz, when he played against Philadelphia, he was having an MVP caliber season. He goes out, and Nick Foles comes in, and he deserves it. I mean, he did. Look, Tom Brady threw for 500 yards and 4 touchdowns, and Nick Foles made 3 4th-and-1 huge plays, including a touchdown catch that on a reverse that Tom Brady failed, and there's a lot of memes about it. But Nick Foles deserves that, but he came in and stole the glory from that moment. Carson Wentz was the MVP that year before that injury. So that's what you're going to say. Cam's coming in for the bait.
Just put this in perspective of all the big playoff teams that you could think of right now. Think about Kansas City. You saw what Kansas City was without. Now, I'm saying, of course, the quarterback goes down. And let's just say it's later on in the season. Playoffs are fixing to come up. Your quarterback's not going to be ready yet. You go sign Cam Newton. The Kansas City Chiefs would sign Cam Newton saying, you know what? Let's go.
Why don't the Saints just sign him for a really cool shot on the sidelines? Like when defense is playing and you got Drew, Jameis, and Cam just sitting there like, look at that. like that would be a really cool photo op for a poster. And then I'm just okay.
Cam though is I just feel that this is going to happen. He's not going to be a backup. He said he's willing to be a backup. He's not. No. He would have already been signed by now. And what team right now is going out to get him? Well, nobody, obviously, at this point. Now, that can change.
I accidentally clicked on a TMZ thing, too, and I realized he's going down. Cam's dealing with some things off the field, too, with baby mamas and pictures. And the picture that I got led me to other pictures. And I was of Cam,
and now
right?
Your computer is shut down.
Don't click Cam's baby mama. It was just – but it was for collages. But I will say, though, that – yeah, this is on him.
Do you
this
think
is on him. For years we have said, and I don't want to be right on this. I don't want to be right. But Cam Newton, we've said for years on this show, 5-6 years, he does a lot for charity, but he's not always a great teammate. We have stories of making people wait on planes for 3 hours as he sat there and sort of hussing and fussing in the locker room. And they were like, dude, we got to leave. We're in Pittsburgh. We're flying out. Let's go. And he would wait and do things. Like, you don't do that in football to some teammates, especially coming out dressed like a leprechaun / Mary Poppins. And then, when he does those kind of things, he's got the talent. He's got immense talent. But when quarterbacks like Cam Newton don't get drafted or when Des Bryant doesn't get signed, they have talent, but there's a reason why they're not getting signed. And people need to understand that. Colin Kaepernick, actions speak louder than words. All 32 teams sat there and said, well, some of the owners, we don't mind what's happening right now. I think he's representing giving people free speech, as the rest of the country was like, dude, that's not the right outlet to do it. I'm not saying, I'm not going to be one of those, he disrespected all of country. All I'm saying is that was not the path. To me, that was not the path to take as an American and somebody, and that's, I hope, okay to feel as an American for people that think it's great what he did. It's terrible. But when it comes down to Colin Kaepernick, you know what? We can sit there and go, rrr, for hours. You know who's right? The 32 owners that said, nope, not going to touch him. Not going to get a guy that was an MVP 2 years ago and took a team to the Super Bowl. Not going to get that guy on my roster. So all this fluff in the media, blah, 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 actions will speak louder. And when Cam's not representing his teammates the right way, because his talent is worth to be one of the top 32 quarterbacks in the NFL. Let's be real here. Let's stop. But teams don't want to get him right. They don't want to pay him that money right now for reasons. We come back for more Sports Drive on ESPN Pensacola, Blab TV.
It is the veteran, not the preacher, who has given us the freedom of religion.
It's the veteran, not the politician, who has given us the right to vote.
It's the veteran, not the poet, who has given us the freedom of speech.
The veteran, not the campus organizer, who has given us the freedom to assemble.
It is the veteran, not the reporter, who has given us freedom of the press.
It is the veteran, not the lawyer, who has given us the right to a fair trial.
We should all be very proud of our young men and women in the service, no matter where they serve. Thank you.
Locally owned Jackson Pace Pharmacy has exciting news for ED patients. Tadalafil, the FDA-approved generic for Cialis, is now here, and the cost savings are huge. Save 80% on the 20-milligram tablets, 30 tablets for $80, less than $3 a pill. A prescription from your doctor is required, so stop by Jackson Pace Pharmacy, 2256 West 9 Mile Road in Pensacola, and cash in on the savings today.
From First Take to your radio.
Zion, 16 games. Okay, how many games do they have left? About 20, 22 games. All right, so he ain't gonna even reach 40 games. Damn it, this first year in the NBA, which he's getting paid for, it's like a college season that do. Give a damn about no back-to-back. You're 19 years old. 19 years old. All right, figure it out.
1 to 2 weekday afternoons on ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. Pensacola's home to hometown sports, covering the biggest high school games. UWF football, catching every game of the Pensacola Blue Wahoos. Plus, local sports commentary with the Sports Drive with Chad Brillante. And weekend sports talk with Davis Allen and Justin Patrick on the Sports Call. We are local. We are ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
I'm little teapot, short and stout.
Here is my handle and here is my spout.
No, Dad, like this. When I get all steamed up, then I shout, tip me over and pour me out.
This is WWE superstar Roman Reigns. It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today.
Visit fatherhood.gov, brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
JP here. At ESPN Pensacola, we are hometown proud. Like the greatest pound-for-pound boxer of all time, Roy Jones Jr.
Three-time light heavyweight world champion and former heavyweight champion of the world, future Hall of Fame legend, Roy Jones Jr.
What up? It's your boy Roy Jones Jr. and you're listening to ESPN Pensacola.
The greatest name in sports radio is ESPN. Wherever you have Alexa, you can hear ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. Just say,
Alexa, enable ESPN Pensacola 1330 skill.
This is Northwest Florida's all sports, all the time station. From Destin to New Orleans, sports fans come here for ESPN and local sports talk. ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. The teams, the games, the fans, the local talk. This is ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
I remember when I lost my mind. There was something so pleasant about that place.
And welcome back, Sports Drive on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. Chad Brillante, 6:56 on this Wednesday evening. Thanks again to everybody that voted. It's down to the wire, but it looks like the winner is going to be, unless some crazy votes at the end, it's going to be Roy Jones Jr. over Derek Brooks for the greatest athlete in Pensacola sports history on our ESPN brackets, brought to you by Coins, Sports Cards, and Racing Collectibles, and our friends Mike and everybody that joined us here today. So 79% right now for Roy Jones to 21% for Derek Brooks with a couple hundred in. So there it is. Hope everybody had fun today. Thank you for joining us on Blab TV. For everybody at ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. Spain & Company coming up next. Have a great rest of your night, and God bless. Time for your ESPN Pensacola headlines here on the Sports Drive. Well, Florida could soon be the hottest spot. Hot for those professional sports going on, as Governor Ron DeSantis announced today that plans to open up the Sunshine State to all professional sports teams that want to resume activity. All professional sports teams are welcome here for practice and play, DeSantis said in Tallahassee today. What I would tell commissioners of leagues is if you have a team in an area where they just won't let them operate, we'll find a place for you here in the state of Florida. So not only are we going to become the place where a lot of foreigners come in with that raccoon tan and those wife beater shirts that they're not actually wearing at the beach, but now we're going to have probably other sports coming in here as well. Jim Harbaugh is already down there to Outback Steakhouse in Bradenton, Florida, I'm sure. Good for us, though. Good for the state of Florida and sports. It's open again. I don't know all the numbers, but the details, but for the governor to do that for our job becomes a little more relevant each and every day. Tomorrow on the show, we're going to take a look at all the college football over-unders. We'll get to more on the winner, which looks to be Roy Jones Jr., of the greatest athlete in Pensacola sports history. And also, tonight, that's right, KBO baseball. Ugh, Dews and Bears let me down again. The Bears.
This is ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM and 99.1 FM, the only local station that talks sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. From Gullick and Wingo to the Sports Drive with Chad Brillante. Plus talk football with Coach K at noon, sports call every Saturday. If you'd like to partner with us as an advertiser or a promotional partner, just give us a call at 262-6000.
You're listening to ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. All sports, all the time. WEBY, Milton, Pensacola.